podcast where three bearded film fans watch the best horror movies of all time. My name is Luke Condor with a K. I'm joined by my regular co-hosts, Mr.
Ben Errington. We were being really polite and British then. No, after you, please.
After you, I insist.
And Mr.
Andy Conduit Turner. Hello, everybody. The gang's all back together.
Sometimes
hello.
I struggle to say horror hangout. I think the horror hangout is quite difficult to do.
Double.
I've noticed we have always said the horror hangout, but really the podcast is not called the horror hangout. It's called horror hangout. But
it seems weird saying. Well, yeah, I'm saying it with, and I've seen a mistake here. I'm saying it with an uncapitalized T.
Okay,
it might sound like a capitalized T, but it's not.
Yeah. It didn't. To be fair, at that time it didn't sound like a capitalized.
No, it wasn't.
T.
It wasn't. If it was capitalized, you'd know.
Welcome to the horror hangout. What?
Yeah.
That's
intonation will be right off. Yeah, people will be screaming at their iPods.
How's it going, Ben? You were in Edinburgh.
Yeah, I had a little go to. I went to Edinburgh.
Had a little go at Scotland.
I had a little go at Scotland. That is officially the first time I've ever been to Scotland, which is kind of crazy for a gentleman in his mid-30s who I would say is quite fond of travel. Very strange that I've never ventured north of the border, which is exactly where Andy is right now.
You've seen more, based on your pictures alone, you've seen more of Edinburgh than I have. And I've lived in Scotland for 6 months.
What I like to do, if I go on some level of city break, I've got a pretty rigorous itinerary that I write down and go, right, this is where we can go today. We got to do all these things. If I've not done at least like four or five things on the list, I feel like I'm failing myself. So
you're not like asleep by 4 p.m. because you're so tired and exhausted from walking around.
I always make
your day.
I always put in the schedule. There's always time to go back to the hotel, potentially have a nap. Although I didn't have one this time. So pretty good. I'm pretty much the same whenever I go somewhere new. Can we just relax? Can we just relax and just have a nice bit of food? No, march up this hill to the top.
There's a waterfall up here. Come on.
Come on, go there, see it, done. Don't stand there for more than 5 seconds because that's just a waste of time. I'm enjoying this
quick picture on the way.
Yeah, I recommend it though. I've never been. Luke said he's been 3 times before, which is a lot. Andy, I'm sure you've dropped in.
Edinburgh just the once. We live about an hour away from it now, but we just for things we had tickets for and things we've been to Glasgow a little more. We have some friends that live there. Highly recommend Glasgow for your next visit, Ben. It's a good old it's a good old crack. Okay. And having just had COVID, hopefully won't be locked in next time. I'll be able to see you when you come up.
That would be nice. I did wave to you from the very top of Arthur's Seat in Edinburgh. Didn't wave back.
I think I saw a man.
Saw a man waving outside the window.
Saw a man waving. Hello.
Not using all his fingers.
It wasn't. In terms of, there were a couple of possibly horror-related things that I did while in Edinburgh.
God. He's killed someone.
What's he bloody done this time? He's killed someone. He ate a bit of haggis. Ate a tiny little bit of haggis, and as awful, some people consider that horror,
bad,
horrific. It was absolutely awful. Can I have a bit of that awful, please? Don't say that. Don't leave a review. So I went to. There's a pub called the Frankenstein Pub. The Frankenstein.
I know.
That
is. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I went there. Yeah.
So it plays like the classic Frankenstein movie. Like constantly, there's like wax figures of.
That you were furious, Ben. I was like, "This is dead old, off the cliffs of quality." Boo!
This is so old. Put on a modern one. Put on the one with Bobby. Put the one with Bobby De Niro in it. That's shit. So yeah, that was quite interesting. That was quite nice. Edinburgh Dungeon, found out a lot of interesting things. That was a bit jumpy. You know, they're actors trying to recreate certain moments in time. And it just doesn't have the same effect when everyone's got your COVID mask on. This is exactly how it was when the plague hit Edinburgh. You've got a little COVID mask on there. I understand what you've done there. Makes sense. So yeah, that was cool.
Ray Harryhausen's museum you went to see.
Oh yeah, of course. That's
the skeletons and stuff.
All the skeletons.
You like that, didn't you?
I did like that. I like there's a video showed all the movements he did to the skeleton. I was like, oh god, a lot of work. So yeah, like growing. That's kind of the films of Ray Harryhausen definitely like sort of shaped my tastes in horror. I think because his model of Medusa scared the absolute bejesus out of me when I was a kid. Terrified. And there's something really like quite scary about stop motion animation, isn't there? I'm coming for you, but I'm not quite human.
The jerkiness of it. Yeah.
The jerkiness, yeah.
And
all this absolute jerk off. And all of the stuff from like the Sinbad movies as well. Do you remember the woman with like a seagull foot? That was absolutely disgusting. I'm not
sure I'm familiar with Seagull Foot Woman.
You don't remember? She's front and center on the poster.
Did she have the foot of a seagull, or was her foot a full seagull?
Oh no. It was the foot of a seagull, but like human sized on her foot. If you search for the poster, Sinbad and the Golden Voyage, or is it the Eye of the Tiger? It's one of those two. If you see the poster, she's front and center with a terrifying foot. I think it's the Eye of the Tiger, actually. But yeah, loads of stuff. What, the Minotaur? What's it? The Cyclops? All that horrible stuff.
You've seen them all.
I've seen them all. They had them all there, and I kept thinking,
yeah, it's like a little, it's like a bat foot or something.
Yeah, but it was a seagull. I can't remember if she got cursed or something. Like, you're cursed to having one seagull foot, and they've gone
awful foot. Yeah,
and they've gone, get that front and center on the poster. If that don't draw people in, nothing will.
I think of all the things that happen to people, in the stories of ancient Greece and so on, I'd argue she got off quite lightly.
True.
You think it's not so bad? Not
so bad. No, she could have had far worse. Also, like the films like Sinbad and Clash of the Titans, they're like late 70s, 80s.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of insane, because in my head, I kind of thought 50s or something like that.
Yeah, I thought they were really old. I just thought they were like ancient footage.
yeah, I know. I was looking at all the information about the films. I was like, hang on a minute.
What's
your living
favorite Harryhausen picture? That's what they used to call it back in the day.
Gotta be favorite Harryhausen picture. One of the
talkies. Yeah.
It's got to be Clash of the Titans.
The jerkies. One of the jerkies.
One of the jerk-offs. Yeah. It's a toss-up between Clash of the Titans and Jason and the Argonauts, I think.
Which one is it that has the robot owl?
That is Clash of the Titans.
Clash of the Titans is my favorite. Then I love that guy.
They had the robot owl there, yeah. They had the little robot owl. They had like 2 models of him. He couldn't get enough.
Is there one called the Golden Fleece? Or am I thinking of the Argonauts?
Jason and the Argonauts.
That's Jason and the Argonauts, yeah.
That's the one I remember. Don't remember any of the others.
So a lot of like genuinely terrifying things. I was even a bit looking around. I was even a bit. The tiny little models put the willies up me. Put the bloody willies up me.
Yeah,
well, they make them atomically correct, I imagine.
Exactly. But yeah,
that's the thing with the Greek mythology as well. Like sometimes with some of those stories, they're so incredible because it feels a bit like you're having a bit like when you're a kid and your mate's always got like one more power. That's what the Greek myths are like. It's like Golden Fleece guarded by this Hydra, horrid monster. Kill it. Guess what? Chuck its teeth in the ground. Skeletons come out.
yeah. That's bloody skeletons come out here. And Ray Harryhausen's like, how many of these have I got to animate? Oh man, Jesus Christ! Pay me overtime, please. So yeah, that was that. So sorry to have left you for a week, but I'm sure you held down the fort.
It's nicely. Good. Yeah. We did our year review. Is there anything that you wanted to say that you didn't get to say last week?
So I think I said to Luke before, I was quite in terms of my list, I literally went on Letterboxd, looked at all the horror I'd watched in 2021, arranged it by rating, and that like made my top 5. So there's probably a couple that I should have included that would have been listed as released in 2020, even though I think officially they were kind of 2021 releases. And one of those was The Night House. That was probably one of my favorites of the year.
Is that on Disney? I think it's on Disney Plus now, right? I might have to watch that. That's come up on a few people's top.
Yeah, I saw it come up on a couple of top lists since we recorded, and I haven't seen it yet.
Really did enjoy that, and I guess Psycho Gorman as well, because it was again one I didn't think of so much because I think it was listed as 2020.
That was the same for me. I see a lot of websites and things have let that one slide though. I think it's primarily because I think was it festivals only in 2020? Maybe.
Probably, yeah.
Then again, the last 2 years are the same. Like it's just.
I just think two of my choices, Last Night in Soho and Ghostbusters, were like, I know they're not essentially horror films, but because I'd rated them so highly and we'd covered both on the podcast, I kind of had to include them.
I think they're horror enough.
They count. They count for sure. But I see that like if you look across the board, I'm surprised. I think Luke especially, he had some deeper cuts than some folks have. I think I read a lot of like websites, top 5s, top 10s, and a lot of it is very heavily The Conjuring, your Malignants, your real tentpole movies. I'm not glad about it at all, but I think Halloween Kills, I feel a little bit vindicated. It doesn't seem to be just us. I think I've seen it slip off a lot of people's top 10 list, but I imagine we'll cover a little bit of that in the news as well when we talk about that movie again.
Why not do the news now?
Yeah, why not do the news now? Why not continue on that point as well, just in case people are only listening to a couple of minutes of this podcast, they want to get their Halloween news straight in there.
Yeah, they need to just get it straight to it. But yeah, Halloween Kills is now out on home video cassettes. So you can get it on any physical format you like. And one of the things they put on there is an alternative ending. It's an alternative ending in a very DVD extras alternative ending sense, in that it's not hugely different, just different enough. It's a bit sliding doors, isn't it? It takes a slightly different turn than it might have done.
I think, although I don't think it was saved the movie for me at all, that ending that you sent me would have made me a lot happier as a person leaving that theatre when I watched Halloween Kills. It's just a way better ending.
It's got a bit more punch to it. I feel I would have felt slightly less cheated. I think
cheesed off. Yeah.
Ever so cheesed off. Yeah, it's got slightly more of a punch, and it feels like a more of a definitive ending to that particular movie, rather than the last one, which was like, what? Really?
I guess maybe they didn't want Michael. I'm not going to spoil it, actually. People just go watch it. But there's Michael. I can't really say. I will. Myers. Spoilers. Watch out. Spoilers to this alternate ending.
Spoilers. Yeah. Skip forward a minute if you want, but otherwise go.
You guys are Halloween experts these days. So would Michael answer the phone like that?
Well, did he answer the phone?
I think he just goes off in her pocket.
Yeah, it's just going off in her pocket. And
but like she heard breathing down the phone.
That's Michael just wheezing out the window.
I think. Yeah.
But why would the phone answer? Maybe that's why they didn't include it.
So I think the phone doesn't answer. Like nobody answers the phone, but because nobody answers the phone, Laurie immediately realizes that is because her daughter's been.
I thought I heard breathing. Maybe it was like, do you want this person that you're trying to call to leave a voicemail for you? Maybe it's like the opposite of a voicemail.
Was it your own breathing?
I'm sorry, but the person you're trying to call is not available. Would you like them to leave a voicemail?
I reckon it's like, when you get not blood, but when you're out for a walk. You guys have got dogs. You walked in the rain and had to use your phone before. When your phone gets a bit of rain on it, and then the touch screen just goes, and it thinks you're pressing it all over at once. Yeah. And then it could be because
wet with blood.
Because it's got a bit of blood on it. It goes, I'm being touched all over. Just answer, go bloomin' doolally. It must answer. And then it hit, and then she hears Michael doing a bit of wheezing. And then, as we've said, spoilers. Laurie hears him and says, listen, Michael, I'm sick of you. I'm going to stab you right up with this knife. I'm on the way.
If you want to know what the hell we're talking about, go on YouTube and search for like Halloween Kills alternate ending, the B-side ending, and you'll know what we're talking about.
It's not going to change your life.
Yeah. I think it might change your life.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you enjoyed the film, or if you're a completionist, obviously it's a series of films that you might collect. Then it's a nice feature for the DVD. Or Blu-ray or HD DVD, depending on your format of choice. But if you didn't care much about the film and you don't necessarily want to invest another rental or time into it, then, as Luke says, the good folks on the internet have put the extra ending on YouTube anyway. So give it those 2 minutes. if you wish.
It's only 2 minutes of your life, you know. But time is limited. Time is fleeting. Okay.
Oh, go
on. You know that film franchise, A Quiet Place?
Yeah.
Do you also know that film Pig, which I rated very highly from last year?
Yeah.
Well, the director of Pig is making a spin-off, A Quiet Place spin-off, that will expand upon the franchise's universe, which I think is quite cool. It seems like quite a nice and interesting. It won't be a sequel to the main line of films. It'll be its own thing.
So a spin-off, are we thinking a spin-off in the same sense of Fear of the Walking Dead, where just in the same universe with different people?
I think so. It sounds like it, which I'm all for. I want to see more of that world. It's an interesting little world.
I want to see more of people being quiet in a place.
Yeah.
Where in the world would you like to see leggy venom antics going on?
Like a theme park, like on a climbing frame or something.
Yeah.
No.
They'd be dead good at climbing, wouldn't they?
Kids Park, Jungle Gym, Monkey Bars, the Gladiator, the place where they used to film Gladiators. That's what I'd like to see.
The National Indoor Arena.
Yeah, in a music studio where some musicians are all holed up and they can't do music because of this. It's got to be a quiet place, and they're all going crazy. And then
Britain's Got Talent stage.
Yeah. Oh. Everyone do a talent, but shut the fuck up.
Well, we'd be really good at the mimes. They'd clean up that year.
God, yeah.
You make it sound like there's a team of them. The mimes.
The mimes are like, finally, it's our time to shine.
Well, they don't say that.
Yeah.
They just,
yeah.
I don't know.
Of course. Sorry.
Diversity do, right? If they put mats down.
There's a mime in this, isn't there, sort of? In Interview with a Vampire.
Diversity would do all right if they put mats down.
Yeah.
It'd just be like, have you ever seen those music videos on YouTube where it's like music videos about the music? It's just David Bowie and Michael Jagger, I nearly said that, and Mick Jagger dancing, but like,
yeah.
It'd just be like that.
Yeah.
The leggy venoms might hear that.
Yeah, and if they hear you, we established from the movie they will thump the shit out of you if you're making any noise.
Thank you for including Leggy Venom's question in the recent quiz episode. Because I felt like I was ready for it.
Oh, I'm up for a spin-off of that. That sounds great. Wonder what they'll call it.
Although I do think maybe the only reason I looked Quiet Place 2 so much is because I wanted a Last of Us, a more Last of Us experience. But now I've done Last of Us 2. Maybe I'm all like full.
You've got a Last of Us. You've got a series coming.
You got a Last of Us TV show.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'd be up to that. I mean, the thing is, the games are just so good. You know, when we got the Resident Evil movie, and I was like, just play the games because they look just as good, better actually. To be honest, they look better than the special effects in the film, and the story's better. I feel like the games are just so good, so mature. The storytelling is fantastic. Like the cinematography is better than most movie cinematography.
I feel like it's going to be. It's got less lore, The Last of Us. So I feel like the transition from game to TV is going to be easier, and the fact that it's a series has got a bit more chance to grow. I think it's going to be just as good, maybe not just as good as the games, but I think.
Did you see the teaser? No, hang on, it wasn't a real teaser. I think someone had made it.
Fan teaser.
Yeah, they got me.
I've seen some fan made imagery from it, and which looks amazing, but not real. Yeah. I'm sure it looked great.
I think what I'm trying to come to terms with, though, with a lot of this stuff, and it doesn't necessarily count for The Last of Us. I'm up for it. I'm gonna get and watch it. But I think we reach a point with franchises and IPs and what have you, where I'm getting increasingly accepting of the fact that I don't need to digest all of the things related to some of these big franchises. To say, like, because with Walking Dead, I can tell you that big into the comics, like, went through the comics. I think I fell off at some points. I've got maybe the last dozen issues of the book to read. Really loved the Telltale games, the really story focused ones. I've seen the first 2 seasons of the TV show, but feel no strong desire to go back and see anymore. I think I've seen enough of it, and I don't need to see the rest. The same is true if you look at non-horror franchises. Like look at like Batman, for example. Love dip into plenty of Batman comics. I'm excited for the movies, but TV shows like Gotham and Pennyworth, that's perfectly fine for any number of people, and there's no judgment on those people, but I don't have any strong itch to watch it. My mom's watched a couple of seasons of Gotham. Love my mom very much. Don't watch the same TV shows as her though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Other piece of news I've seen, one piece of news I think literally just only a couple of hours ago went live, is that a Final Destination movie is being produced for HBO Max, and it's going to be directed by John Watts, who directed bloody Spider-Man.
He also did a movie called Clown. Actually, so he did like a short trailer, like a fake trailer for the movie Clown, like a horror movie about a person who puts on a clown costume and turns into a clown, like
makes him into a bad clown.
Makes him into a bad clown. And then I think, what's his face? Eli Roth saw it. I was going to say Eli Watts. I don't think that's the name. But Eli Roth saw it and then produced the Clown feature film. And then from that, John Watts like suddenly was making Spider-Man movies. So I think it'd be cool to see him do more genre. Less, I mean, Spider-Man is genre, but spooky genre stuff.
Spooky genre stuff, yeah. And when was the last Final Destination movie? Has it been a while? I can't remember.
There wasn't.
It's been a long old time, but the Final Destination already did the modern remake naming convention, because the last Final Destination is called the Final Destination. So what do they do?
The won't have a capital T.
Just the final destination.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I think it's based on a treatment by Watts and some writers on board. One of the guys who wrote the new Scream is on board. What's this? It's here. It says Scream 2021. That's not right. 2022.
Yeah.
Just being pedantic. So yeah, that could be interesting. What else? I think I saw talking about mentioning teen slashers. I know what he did last summer, the TV show. He's got the bloody axe, the figurative axe, after just one season. And you know what? I had a funny old feeling about it, and I steered clear. Did you guys go anywhere near this?
I didn't even know it came out. There's just too much stuff coming out. I just can't keep up with it at the minute.
There's endless stuff, and I think that's the same. We were just talking about TV beforehand. I don't know, I'd have to look into it. Maybe they designed it with the idea that it was going to be a self-contained series, but I feel like a lot of TV now comes out with the premise it only works if they get a 5-series run, and it's going to be building to anything, but and things that looked incredibly promising, like don't know if either of you have seen any. Why the Last Man? Love the book. Was a little bit hyped to the series coming out, but before I'd seen any, it had already been cancelled. And I know that would have been a series that was built around there being several seasons. And I know that there's tons of campaigns for someone else to pick it up and everything like that. But can't help it. And being very honest, like, it doesn't fill you with the idea of, right, I'm going to invest in this first season now, given that I know that at the moment there's no plans for any more, which sucks because I'm sure people worked incredibly hard on it and it's a great series. But like, I think, am I just building myself up for something that will never finish?
I got about halfway through that series, and then when it got cancelled, it did kind of hit my interest in it. I was a bit like, do I want to finish this series? Now, what if it ends on a cliffhanger? I'll be well annoyed.
Did the same for me with Santa Clarita Diet. Loved the first 2 seasons. I was dead into the 3rd season, and then I heard as I was halfway through the 3rd season that it had been cancelled. The curse of a Netflix series of 3 seasons, and then they get done in. But I loved it, but I know that it doesn't conclude at the end. There is a.
I wasn't too bothered about it not concluding, because if it felt like that wasn't the strong point of the show for me, like the overall overarching story. What they've done.
Great. All the stuff I've seen was fantastic.
Just like it was just seeing Tim Oliphant dealing with the situation of his wife becoming a zombie. It was just
he's
so funny.
Put upon in that whole series. He's so hard done by.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great show. That was surprisingly great. Any other news?
I think that might be it.
No more news.
No more news. There's no more. Oh wait, here we go. So Ty West is back with an A24 horror movie titled X. Poster's been released. The trailer is out tomorrow. So filmmaker behind The House of the Devil, The Innkeepers, The Sacrament, one of the collaborators on the VHS franchise as well. Don't think we know all that much about it, but it stars Mia Goth, Brittany Snow, Jenna Ortega, and the tagline is "Dying to show you a good time." So there might be some dying, and there might be some good times. Possibly. We'll find out with the trailer. And the only other thing is obviously the brand new Scream movie is out this week.
Yeah. Need to go watch it, but also kind of cover myself in sanitizer and masks from head to toe.
Yeah.
Not getting the lock in.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. I think it's already on. I think I've seen some headlines saying it's already based on tickets that have been booked, pre-sales or whatever. It's already on course to do well at the box office, which is obvious,
really, good.
Isn't it? But
that's good. Yeah, you think it's going to do well. I got some emails from various cinema chains that have my email address saying,
"Oh yeah,
biggest horror movie of the year, guys! Biggest horror movie of the year."
January as well.
That's fine.
A bit of a wasteland for cinema releases usually, but that's a big one.
Then again, they can throw these words out. I'm sure no one's auditing them. I'm not going to go back to them if when Halloween comes out in October, and they go biggest Halloween movie of the year. I'm not going to get guys.
Hang on a minute.
You already called that in January.
Yeah.
Which one is it? What am I supposed to believe?
Make your fucking mind up. Yeah. So that's that. Have you guys seen anything this week of note?
I'll be honest. I haven't. I don't know why. I go through different phases, but sometimes all I want to play is video games. And that's all I've been doing this week is playing more of that VR Walking Dead game, Satan's Sinners. There's nothing quite like being surrounded by zombies and picking up a frying pan and wanging them in the head and then grabbing a screwdriver and sticking it in their eyeballs. It is a really fun game. Like just the overall general mechanics of it is really good. And I always say this with VR games, it doesn't matter what videos you watch. It does not, even because it's like quite a low poly art style, like it's like a cell shaded Telltale style cartoon, whatever that they were doing on the Telltale games. It's gone for the same art style on this, but when you're in VR, the scale of it is completely different. Like it feels, I don't know, it feels real when like you're suddenly surrounded by zombies, even just 10, and they're all coming towards you from different angles. It genuinely feels like you're about to get mugged. I've been playing that. I've also been playing The Outer Wilds, which is like a big indie game. It's not horror, however, it's like how to describe it? Like a space exploration Groundhog Day game.
What's it called?
The Outer Wilds.
The Outer Wilds, yeah. I played the first few
I got confused.
minutes.
I thought you said Outer Worlds, but saying it weird.
Came out the same year as well. The thing is, I was talking to Duncan about this as well. If you the first 20 minutes aren't I didn't think I was going to enjoy it. I don't know, there's something about it, the first 20 minutes that weren't really speaking to me. And then you go off into space and you kind of, basically the game just says, right, do whatever you want, go to wherever you want and explore whatever you want. And then within seconds, I accidentally flew into the sun. I got eaten by a giant space fish. And then I slipped and fell into a black hole. And I was like, this is pretty cool. The amount of
And then you picked up the game and started playing it.
It's a really good game. If you like that kind of exploration thing where you like Breath of the Wild or Subnautica, where you can pretty much just do whatever you want. It's got spooky bits. It's got fun, gobsmacking, amazing bits. There's a whole city inside the core of this planet. That's amazing. Yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
No, I've heard it's fantastic. I need to go and give it another go. Obviously, the games to play list is worse than my films to watch list, so maybe one day.
We still need to do a new horror game episode, I think.
Yeah.
Just play a load, tons of indie horror games or something. There's tons out there.
Yeah. So you've not seen anything really then? Just been playing that? Seen any?
We've been watching more Supernatural, which
you're on that series, aren't you? What season are you on now, Luke?
I think season 5. But
Tend to
to be
go.
fair, although we said like me and Kat are going to watch it all together, I just let her get on with it every now and again, and I just jump
Hang on
in.
a minute.
They always do the recaps and the story episodes that are kind of doing the overarching story kind of don't interest me that much. But it's the Monster of the Week stories that are really fun, and when they do like meta episodes and stuff, they're good. I don't know what to say. It's just kind of it feels like a guilty pleasure for some reason. Supernatural. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. They're good.
I think it's one of those things like I think you're so used to being judgment and stuff like that. You enjoy what you enjoy. I know you're a big Riverdale fan these days as well. So.
I wouldn't say I'm a Riverdale fan, especially this last season. It's not good at all. But it is a sight to behold. It's one of the weirdest TV shows I've ever seen in my life. Almost as weird as American Horror Story.
That's pretty weird.
Yeah.
What about you, Andy? Have you seen anything interesting?
Yeah, I've been again. I had a few more days after Luke and I spoke where I was still in the house, so I caught up on another couple of movies. And after I've been making an effort to catch up on things, especially a couple of things that got mentioned on our end of the year episode. So I watched since we were last together. I watched Possum.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's deeply unpleasant throughout, isn't it?
It's horrific.
Yeah, like the whole thing of the film. You guys both seen Possum?
I haven't actually, but I know it's Matthew Holness, right?
Yeah, and it's like it feels like every second of the movie has like a sheen over it. Like everything about it is just slightly grubby and puts you like
very grubby,
like ill at ease for the entire duration. It's like, oh, something wrong's happening here. Something wrong's happening the whole time. And without going to spoilers, there isn't anything actually that's apart from like the very end. There's not anything that's particularly intensive or violent. A lot of it is suggested or just visually unsettling throughout. But it was good, not necessarily enjoyable, but it's a very well made movie.
I think Sean Harris has got like one of the best faces in.
Yeah, I think like him and so in Green Knight, there's Sean Harris plays the king. The guy who plays the Green Knight, who's also in The Witch. Those two people have got such unique
Ralph Ineson.
Yeah, such unique English voices, accents, and like I don't know, unique characters. They're really interesting, both of them.
Yeah, agree.
So I appreciated, but not necessarily enjoyed that because it was real creep fest throughout. And then after one of Luke's recommendations, I watched Come True.
I know it's not for everyone.
No, it's good. Like I totally got what you were saying, Luke, about it. Like, I think that there are a few things I've seen that have such great like nightmare imagery because it is abstract enough that like, but you can imagine these things happening. Like in the nightmare footage, it is. I've not seen anything done quite like that in the same way. So really, really quite compelling stuff. I like some of the real world stuff a little less, but it's still really good. It's a great movie. But particularly striking. I think it's worth seeing for that nightmare imagery alone.
I think so. I think it's like you said, like some of the most unique horror imagery I think I've ever seen. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. It's strange and it really gets under your skin.
Yeah, for sure. I having heard you say about it giving you nightmares, didn't watch it just before bedtime. I watched it in the day.
Yeah.
Watched it in the day and then a nice little bit of switch before bedtime to make sure.
Yeah.
Just
got to be done.
Safe.
Cleanse. Got to cleanse yourself.
Cleanse. But yeah, that's the
cleanse the brain.
That's the main stuff. Other than that, I'm just chipping away on little bits of like series and stuff that I'm well behind on. I've started watching The Missing, which is where it's a BBC series. It has like a detective and a James Nesbitt. His kid's not about. He's gone. He's missing. In fact, watching a bit of that, and I'm catching up with The Mandalorian. Only 2 years out of sync. I've just finished the first season of that.
And that's pretty good. I was watching Boba Fett actually, which was a bizarre experience. Because I mean, Boba Fett was my kind of favorite character as a Star Wars kid, and I don't know, it's just weird seeing what I used to imagine and used to like play pretend in my bedroom. Him climbing out the Sarlacc pit. It's strange.
I mean, that's got to be. I haven't seen it yet, stories. That's got to be episode 1. Him climbing out the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
You just get out and go, "Blooming hell!"
Wipes his head.
Almost stabbed me. That did.
Yeah.
It stinks in there. Is that it?
That's it from me. How about you, Ben?
So only a couple of things really. I watched Scream 4 because it's on Netflix now, and I thought, better watch this because I don't remember all that much about it. And you know what? It's all right. I think it is probably my least favorite of all the Scream films. I think the finale is pretty fun, but everything leading up to that, I don't find it all that interesting. Like, with Scream and the mystery of like, oh, who's the killer going to be? With this, you're like, it's him or her or that person. It's not going to be like, it's not going to be a massive reveal. It's going to be that. So
is there a Culkin in Scream 4?
There is a Culkin, yeah.
There's a Culkin.
Culkin, yeah.
Kieran Culkin?
It is Rory Culkin.
Which one's Rory Culkin? No,
yeah. One. And also, I'm not sure I'm entirely convinced by the killer's motive. I know that's kind of the thing in Scream. Like, really? Like, Scream 1, sure. Scream 2, definitely. I get the motive, 100%. Scream 3, it felt like it was reaching. Scream 4, I'm like, well, bottom of the barrel stuff in terms of motives.
The thing is, like, serial killers don't tend to have motives per se, right? They just tend to have like types of kills they like to do, or of types of people they like to kill.
I wonder if there are any serial killers. I mean, how many serial killers are there who only kill people based on motive? They've kind of got a target. Like, this is the person I want to kill, so I'm going to kill everyone around that person. Like, that doesn't tend to happen. So Scream is quite unique in that sense.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing what the motives are for number 5 next, end of this week, maybe even. But I saw that you were sharing about the poster, right, Ben? It said the killer is on this poster.
Yeah.
Of course he's on the back. You can see him. Big giant face.
Big giant ghost face.
There he is. Spotted him.
It's getting so meta now, isn't it? So obviously they've done the meta slasher, meta sequel, meta reboot as such. Scream 4 is treated like a bit of a soft reboot. I guess they kind of discuss it. So now sequel.
I've heard
20 years after the original.
Radio Silence is saying they wanted to honor Wes Craven and do something that Wes Craven would like to do. So I've got a feeling it's going to be a new Nightmare sort of situation, but
that would be interesting. Yeah,
we'll see. Honestly, I don't know.
That would be the biggest meta twist at all. If I've called this, guys, I'm sorry, but what if it turns out to be Freddy? And this is actually a Freddy reboot.
He wants disguised
to as Scream
all this time.
What is it? And this is a nightmare you've had, and then that's it's me, Freddy.
Boo. Me, Freddy. Bang.
The toast face.
Yeah.
I'm the
toast face killer.
And then also watched Interview with a Vampire. The Vampire Chronicles.
Vampire Chronicles, yes indeed. A little bit of so obviously we decided to do this because Anne Rice passed away late last year, and I think this was a film that we maybe mentioned as covering before, but we never really got around to it. So definitely
now's the time.
Now is the time. So Interview with the Vampire Chronicles. I guess it was named that with the intention of this was going to be possibly a series of films.
I keep calling it Interview with a Vampire. I don't know why I keep doing that.
I think I've always called it Interview with a Vampire.
But which is correct?
Oh, interesting.
Have you seen it as both? Is it the Mandela effect?
Yeah.
Or the...
It's the bloody Mandela effect. Okay, so Interview with the Vampire. is a 1994 American Gothic horror film directed by Neil Jordan, based on Anne Rice's 1976 novel of the same name, starring Tommy Cruise and Brady Pitt. That's how they like to be known. A vampire tells his epic life story: love, betrayal, loneliness, and hunger. That's not interesting part of the story. I was hungry this day. I'm not interested. Give it a.
You all get hungry, mate. What's your hunger so much special?
Yeah. Also, epic life story. Like, it takes place over quite a lot of time, but then it skips a huge amount of time. Oh, and then nothing much happened between all this time. And then in the 80s, I decided to.
Yeah, 200 years passed. There was a war on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no point.
I feel like we got more from like the intro to Wolverine. Remember when it showed him throughout? He's at the war. He's doing a war. Yeah.
They should have done the intro to 13 Ghosts. It's like the camera just spinning around in a kitchen and you see time passing. Just have Brad Pitt in different clothes,
outfits,
different parts of the house, doing different dances.
Eating the rats.
Like, starts to get more 80s boogie in as he goes through.
Disco in the 70s.
Yeah. So reviews for this, Rotten Tomatoes, the critics' consensus is 64%. Where the users have given 84%. That's out of 100%. On IMDb, it's at 7.5 out of 10, right in the pocket. And on Letterboxd, it's 3.5 out of 5. Some choice reviews here. Ben Challoner said, there are some great moments in Neil Jordan's vampire opus, but unfortunately, it is buried deep within a pretentious and wanky coffin. 3 stars. It's an interesting point of view. Dante from the DMC series said, don't think less of me for saying this, but I would do terrible, disgusting things to 1994 Tom Cruise. 5 stars. I don't know what kind of disgusting things they would like to do. Dip him in some
custard pie in. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people, I've got to say, on the negative reviews, there's so many people who are like, this movie sucks. Get it? Just so many people are saying the same joke.
This movie is dead. Stinks of garlic.
Yeah. I mean, this was an interesting movie. I'm not familiar with the Anne Rice novels. I know some people went through phases in the teens where they just read loads of vampire. Is this where kind of the whole sexy vampire thing came from?
Yeah, I guess so. It must be. I mean, there's some differences between the movie and the book. Some quite significant differences, I think. But in terms of like having these main characters who are obviously sexy, obviously. I mean, come on. Let's not deny
I mean, it's like two of the biggest. When did this movie come out? Like
1994.
Yeah,
like two of the
biggest Hollywood movie men. Well, I was going to say like hunks.
Movie blokes. Two of the biggest hunks of the month in the same film, and then Antonio Banderas as well, who's obviously probably
so 3 hunky boys in this film.
3 hunky boys
at the height of their powers as well. I'd say at the absolute
constantly calling each other beautiful. Actually, I suppose it's only Antonio Banderas who keeps calling Brad Pitt beautiful. Like,
there's a hell of a lot of like sexual tension in these films, but at the same time, it's sexual tension, but I feel like these vampires are more romantic than I feel like vampires aren't really interested in sexy time, are they? They just want to suck some blood.
The sexy side feels quite inert in this film.
Yeah.
But I don't know if castrated, let's say. But I don't know if that's
a feature of the time it was being made.
Yeah.
Could you have made it now and that would be more?
I think if you made it as like a premium TV show, which I was going to say, I would say this would work really well as if it's like over a longer period of time, lots of you followed Brad Pitt around the world, lots of stuff in New Orleans. I think they would definitely be having sex at least 5 times an episode.
Yeah, you'd be flopping the chop every few minutes.
Queen of the Damned is more sexually charged, isn't it? If I remember correctly. There's definitely some bathtub action, if I remember. I can't remember if it's a bathtub of blood or not. Maybe with like Deftones in the soundtrack.
What?
So it's definitely a bit more what? So yeah, this is a bit more inert, I guess. Yeah, because I don't know, vampires come across as being, to a degree, asexual, I guess.
Well, I'm just kind of think because I mean, I guess they're always been a bit sexy. Bela Lugosi has a certain charm to him, but I mean, I'm thinking like the Nosferatu style vampires. I mean, some people would, there's someone for everyone, but like, there seems to have come to a point where vampires are like, you assume they're sexy, like, I mean,
I think just like
Blade.
in the like makeup of the vampire myth and legend, there's something about like obviously that youth, never end. What word am I thinking of?
Youth,
like youth,
eternal youth.
Eternal youth. That's the word I was thinking of. Eternal, and I kept thinking about a different 90s girl band. That's something about that eternal youth kind of lends itself to that fault of attractiveness. Whereas if you're old, like Lestat appears at one point, all old and wrinkly and crinkly, he's been at the bottom. He's very poorly. He's been at the bottom of a swamp for weeks. Then not so much.
A lot of it, I guess, though, how much of the portrayal of like a sexy vampire is, and they take some time to throw some shade at Bram Stoker as part of the film. Like how much of that portrayal is down to Anne Rice's work on vampires? Because if you think about it, like if you think about classic vampire literature, and there's things that predate this as well. Obviously, there are old legends, and there are old, I think the first introduction of Dracula on film, I think, is a Russian film that predates even like the old Nosferatu, the old Nosferatu and stuff. But like, if you look at actually number of words written and amount of content out in the wild, I don't have in front of me how many books in Anne Rice's series there are, but Anne Rice has certainly put more words to paper than Bram Stoker or almost anyone else has in vampires in the world. So obviously she's hugely influential on how we view the characters now, just because of the pure volume of very, very successful books, right? That, as you say, there was a period of time that a lot of people had a huge kick on reading them. So I imagine a lot of authors that have done work on vampire fiction since probably list it amongst some of their biggest influences.
And I think you can see with something like Twilight. I mean, I've never seen Twilight, but I'm very aware of it in terms of how it is positioned in popular culture over the last 10 years. I feel like Interview with the Vampire is the perfect amount of horror and like romance, gothic romance. Whereas I feel like Twilight feels like the next step onwards, where the horror is really getting diluted and really left at the wayside, even though vampires in their very nature are something that is more prevalent in horror as a genre. So yeah, I think it's not afraid to show you the dirty, terrifying underbelly of vampire in this vampire society, as well as having like this sort of like gothic romance side to it as well. There's obviously, I think there's some stuff in the book which is a bit more disgusting. Like I definitely remember a part in the book where it's when you get turned into a vampire, the first thing you do is void your bowels, and I thought probably wouldn't be so cinematic as sexy in this film.
I think he does in this actually. I think the camera doesn't tilt down, but I think he does.
You would immediately think you've made a bad choice, because like Lestat, and no one mentions this. I'm going to give you the choice that I never had. Okay, so
I imagine they're voiding the bowels all the time. Have you ever had a juice cleanse? It's like 100% liquid diet. There's no fiber in that.
No wonder we have so many outfit changes.
I mean, Lestat, he is a bastard. He is a shat. Lestat is a shat. He is like a gaslighting, manipulative bastard. But as far as I'm aware, because you kind of get this sense that he's been a vampire for a long time, and he's kind of like toying with people by turning them into vampires and doing this. But I think he's not actually been a vampire that long. I think this is still the like early years of him as a vampire.
Get some hobbies to start. You haven't got to be an arsehole all the time. Like, I know there's no
bloody hobbies, you bastard.
There's no Nintendo where you live right now, but read a book. People are putting them out all the time.
Write a book. Come on, you got some stories.
One big question to ask yourself after watching this: would you like to be a vampire? would you like to live eternally and have curly blonde hair?
I mean,
curly blonde hair that you can't change. Good when curly
oh
blonde
yeah,
hair
you
is in
can't
fashion.
change. Yeah,
I mean, I
good.
can't change my hair now, so that wouldn't make any
Yeah, that's
difference.
true. Curly blonde hair, like if you're in the 70s, you're loving life. But as soon as I don't know, curly blonde hair in the 80s actually probably would have been all right. Yeah. As soon as the 90s rolls around,
Yeah, when
grunge
you're walking around,
takes off.
walking around in '93 looking like Shirley Temple. People just giving you big lollipops all the time.
She didn't have hair like that. What? So why does becoming a vampire for Kirsten Dunst as what's her name, Claudia specifically? Why does becoming a vampire for her do her hair as well? Why is it like a
her
salon?
hair's prone to it? Like if she had a bit of crust on some bread, it would have done it then as well.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, of course, because she was an impoverished child, so they probably couldn't afford crusts.
No, I think
if she'd had any, she'd have had curls for days.
So obviously we're supposed to believe that Brad Pitt's character Louis de Point de Lac, obviously he's pretty much he wants to die because his wife and daughter died, I guess, of some kind of plague-like illness or some illness. You know, back in those days, anything to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could die, but you could die of a stressful day in those days.
He says like I'm 24 now.
Looked at a rusty nail.
Tetanus. He said I was 24, which back then was a man. I think he means because by 30 most people are dead. By 30 most people are done with life.
Yeah. And
he's a plantation owner. He's got slaves, right? As well.
I was about to say, yeah, it's positioned as I was a good man. Yeah, I was a good man who ran a plantation. So you were I know, obviously, wasn't frowned upon back then, but yeah, you were a slave owner. Don't lean too much into how much of a sound, lovely man you were.
He was like, slaves, they came with the plantation. They came with the plantation. What are we going to do? Just not have slaves? Come on.
Yeah, and
in many ways, it's worse to be wasteful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Piece of shit, you.
Yeah, but
so, I mean, the whole setup of this film. So, Christian Slater was about to get eaten by Brad Pitt, but then he's like a writer or something, like a journalist wannabe, and he's interviewing people randomly. So then Brad Pitt invites him into his swanky loft apartment. They're in San Francisco, right? I think in the wraparound. Okay.
It says modern day San Francisco. Yeah. In 1994.
So Brad Pitt, maybe he's lonely or something. I don't know, but he decides he's going to tell him.
He's had an absolute guts.
How did this happen though? Was Christian Slater just going around interviewing everyone in case someone turns out to be a vampire?
I think he mentioned that he'd been interviewing like interesting people who seem to have a story to tell.
Just interesting. He seemed interested.
Well, I mean, it's like there's like the famous like photo projects, like the People of New York or something, where they just interview anyone and everyone. So maybe it's just like that kind of thing. Just
like a J. Jonah Jameson character has gone, Slater, you get out there and you get me a brilliant story.
Bring me pictures of Brad Pitt or vampires.
You'd come across some absolute shit if you were doing that though. Can I just interview you for this? And you'd start interviewing him, you go, this person's boring as fuck. I don't get out of this. I don't get out of this. Sorry, there's been a death in the family. See you later.
So also Brad Pitt can move very, very quickly, like faster than the human eye.
Well, that seems to be his proof to Christian Slater in
I'd say
showing
his
him.
Skin is proof because you can see his veins through you can see his eyes.
I need more proof than that. Though. I feel like I'd need more proof than that.
Yeah. Also, like it's weird that like he moves so fast, but then later when he's like wrestling with Lestat in the air, they're just floating around like dandruff. Like it's so soft and floaty.
They've slowed it down. They are going fast, but they can't show it on the screen, so they slowed it right down to dandruff speed.
It's like when you watch a Dragon Ball Z, Luke, and they're meant to be moving so quickly that you can.
They're moving so quick that their arms seem to be going up and down like that.
You never see them. Yeah, but that's it. He's like, he goes, get off! You're not a vampire. He goes, all right. Watch how fast I turn this light on. And he's behind him. He's like, how did you do that? Just a few.
That's all the proof I need. Record.
And it was like just a few simple gestures, mate. Basically, I pressed the switch, but I did it so quickly.
The thing is, Christian Slater's actually just having tiny seizures. And he just like his eyes go blank for a second. And at that time, I mean, I do it to Kat all the time. She has absent seizures. Just walk around different parts of the room.
All right. Oh, God. For a second then, you thought you'd blinked, but actually you didn't. I just turned the lights on and off again real quick. You didn't
Sometimes,
even see it.
do you ever get that, like, where you're not too sure? Did I blink then, or did the lights cut out?
When that happens to you, this is like a glitch in the Matrix thing. If you ever think that's happened to you, listeners, in real life, a vampire has just turned your lights on and off real quick.
Yeah.
Simple gestures.
They've come in, stolen your crusty bread, and they've gone
to make their hair curly enough.
You can't even cut it. That's depressing. Like, you cut it down to a little short pixie cut.
I mean, that's what happens to hair anyway. I mean, it grows back. I mean, not as quick.
But how did a hair, like, if a hair is invincible now, wouldn't it just grow forever like Rapunzel?
It seems like they like go into like a default mode. This is how you look from now on. I'm surprised Brad Pitt's hair doesn't wrestle itself out of the ponytail at the start of the film, because it's like, this isn't how you're supposed to look.
It's that age-old thing about Superman. You know, people say, Superman, he's bulletproof. How does he get his hair cut then? How does he cut his toenails?
You don't see, like,
cuts it with his laser eyes in the mirror.
Yeah. You don't see him really gives himself a shave. It's like lasers. He goes like buzz-eyed and stuff to like laser his beard.
It rebounds off. Classic.
But on this one, it does make you think, if Lestat came and gave you the choice that he never had and said, right, do you want to be a vampire? If you've made the decision, yes, please, you'd probably say on that day, rather than going and watching your last sunrise, what you'd probably want to do is make sure that everything was you want your hair just so, your beard just so, cut your nails. Can you imagine constantly just having your nails slightly too long and needing them cut nails are too long?
It looks like he plays classical guitar. Like, I just thought that was the
choice, though. That's probably why he's such a dick. He's like, vampire, my nails are always going to be slightly too long.
I just figured that was his vampireness. Like, as your teeth grow, your nails grow. His nails are kind of like a little bit like clawish as well.
I kept thinking, do they just need them to like cut necks and stuff? But then Tom Cruise has got a little thimble finger that he uses to cut things.
He's got a special
little letter
neck thimble. Yeah.
Which is handy, you know.
You'd want to make sure everything. What if you had, like, what does it extend to? Is it just hair and nails? What if you had a bogey at the time they turned you into a vampire? That's going to keep regenerating.
Oh god,
hanging out of the nostril, right there.
You got
some acne right on the nose. Oh bloody hell! I wasn't feeling like I had some extra pounds that year as well. Couldn't get rid of them in time.
You need
just turn me, will you?
Condition.
Yeah. Okay, so basically, we cut to 200 years earlier, New Orleans. It says here 1791, Spanish Louisiana. Okay, it's an interesting way of putting it. And I guess it just, I don't know, why is it called that? That's not what it's called. I think it's
just Louisiana, but I think like
it was Spanish at the time.
It was
like
I guess like it was a territory of Spain.
Spanish.
I don't think it lasted long. Looking here, it says from 1762 to 1801.
So it's a short span.
So short-lived, 40 years of Spanish.
If I trust her. If she tells me it's Spanish, then
we'll believe Anne Rice.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Louis / Brad Pitt, his wife and kid are dead. He's got a lovely statue up of him saying they're dead, and he's sick of it. He's had a gutful. I'd be quite happy to be dead as well. So he plays a bit of cards. He's doing all right at cards. He's got all those aces, and a guy he's playing against, he's, for someone who doesn't care about stuff, he's putting a show on. He's like, one ace, two aces,
show off,
3 aces, and the guy is livid. He's like, how many blooming aces are in that deck? So just these 4. But he's really cross about it. He pulls a gun at him, and he's like, go on then, shoot us in the heart, this bit.
Shoot us right here if you got the bollocks.
And he doesn't. And he goes, livid. He just goes off.
You've had me.
And he's just lording it about, not caring, when he goes off to snog a sex worker, when who should turn up? He goes, I was looking for someone to shoot me in the chest. Sometimes I was looking for, all sorts of stuff. It wasn't that I was a bad bloke. It's just that I like to gamble and sleep about with sex workers, because I was dead sad about it. Feel bad for me.
So there's nothing else to do. I could just stay in tonight, but you know what?
There was no Netflix then, was there?
No Netflix, exactly.
So he's out and about on the Raz, and Lestat sees him go out. He's there, and he's about to get mugged. Some fella goes, "Here, gives you money," but then he gets chucked in the sea. You just hear a splash.
Yeah. And then Lestat grabs Louis and does he grab him straight away and just takes him up in the floaty suck?
Yeah, he takes him up, bites him a bit, and goes, "Do you still fancy dying?" And he goes, "All right, drop you in the sea then."
Yeah.
So he obviously senses there's something about him. Whether he finds, I don't know, whether he just thinks he'd make a nice vampire sidekick.
Likes his lustrous hair.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to Lestat's last vampire sidekick. Hey,
did he have a vampire sidekick? I know he had a master sort of guy.
Yeah, he's chipped off to America pretty much on his own, hasn't he? So they were all in Europe, vampiring about there, and he's gone. We don't understand exactly what happened, but I imagine at some point, because Antonio Banderas he knew Lestat, but he wasn't a big fan. So I can only imagine at some point they go, "Oh, sick of you, mate. You chuff off to the new world, will you?" And he goes, "All right, I will."
Have you heard? Lestat has gone to America. Fuck off. Are you serious? Are you serious? I saw him on the boat this evening.
There is something about the whole vampires in old New Orleans vibe that is very, very cool. Southern vampires. I don't know I feel like I've read a few. I mean, been playing The Walking Dead, that sort of set in New Orleans. There's something about New Orleans and horror, especially old world horror. They go together quite nicely.
It's a spooky town, isn't it? It's New Orleans.
And spooky.
Big fan of, really showing my age here, Gabriel Knight. What an excellent point-and-click adventure. That's all New Orleans. This little investigator picks up a copy of the newspaper, solves some voodoo-related murders. Good times.
Princess and the Frog, the Disney film.
Oh, yeah.
Some great musical numbers. And there's a spooky voodoo...
a voodoo man.
Voodoo man, yeah.
But first, before any of those things, there's vampires there. 200 years ago. So the stat goes, right, if you don't fancy dying, I'll come and see you another time. He drops him in the sea. And then the next thing
if I was Louis, I was like, does anything involve me not getting dropped into the sea? I mean, can I just not be dropped into the sea?
Put me down gently, and rather than being all cryptic about it, Lestat, can we have a chat about what exactly you're offering me here? But he doesn't. He drops him in the sea and chuffs off after he's had a bit of blood from him. And then he's not a vampire yet, but he's poorly, he's in bed.
Been drained of blood. Yeah,
he's gonna die. Regardless, I think, in one way or another. He's either gonna die and become a vampire, or he's just gonna die. I think that's what happens. Yeah. But obviously Lestat leaves out some details, doesn't he? He kind of sells him down the river with the big dream of being a vampire. It's like, oh, you live forever.
He pops to see him in his sick bed. He turns up, doesn't he? And he goes, "All right, me again. So if you
don't drop me in the sea again."
He said, "No, you're in bed this time. I'm not going to drop you in the sea." But basically, you'll notice that you're absolutely sick of it. You're real sad. Food doesn't taste nice. Drink doesn't taste nice.
Hang on a minute. That's the lyrics to that song, Bryan Adams and Melanie C. Even food don't taste that good. Drinking doing what it should. Your wife and daughter are dead.
So Bryan Adams and Mel C were actually singing about the big moral quandary of becoming a vampire when you're sick of your family being dead.
I haven't heard that in a long time. Wow.
Maybe when you're gone into death 200 years ago.
From the plague.
He realizes he's in love. So he says, "I'll tell you, I won't drop you in the sea this time," but he does the lyrics to Baby When You're Gone and says, "If you fancy being a vampire, I'll meet you down the cemetery this evening, if you like." And
sounds ominous.
We'll take it from there. No time for any more details. Goodbye.
So there's a moment also when Louis sees his last sunrise as well, without knowing it's going to be his last sunrise. Because I guess those details aren't sort of put across, are they? There's no disclaimer or small print that Lestat puts across to Louis.
You will have to give up sunrises. That is part of the deal.
My bloody favourite time of the day.
Technically, you're giving up sunsets as well because you can't see them. You've got to wait until it's already gone. So you've given up 2 things.
Yeah. I mean, how often do you see sunrises? Most people, even if they're up at that time, aren't looking out the window and going, "Oh, look at that!" No one cares. I mean, they make for nice photos.
Looking out there. Yeah, especially when you
look at that sunrise again. I can't get enough of them.
Can't get enough. Are you doing that thing where you pretend to hold the sun in between your fingers and get someone to take a photo? Because that's great, isn't it? Everyone loves that.
It's probably why you don't get so many vampires in Japan, the land of the rising sun. One of the things your country is famously named for all over the world can't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, you live in the land of the rising sun. Don't talk about that. Honestly, it does my head in. It's not the best thing, There's other things. Also,
you have to be really picky on your air travel. You can't get a flight if you dead hard to work out what time they're going to be when we land. Are we going to see a sun at some point in the flight? Is the person next to me going to have the window up? I need to know.
It's almost like
that's now, but they travel on boats all the time. There, you probably can't predict what time of day you're going to get in. If they take all these transatlantic things, they'll be like, "Oh, I'll get off in a bit. I'm just gonna
wakey." I've always thought this of vampires. Sure, there is, you're immortal because you live forever, but you're more susceptible to death than humans, aren't you? Surely, because literally just by
half the day might kill you. Yeah,
half of the day might kill you.
Modern vampires, not so bad because they've got on their iPhones. Actually, vampires are baddies, so Apple wouldn't let them use their things that they'd have on their Android phones. The thing that says on your weather app what time the sun's going to come up. So it'd be
blackout curtains as well.
They'd be 6:30, 6:35, the sun will be up. So play it safe. Back for 1:45. Make sure I'm in.
But if you live in the UK, we haven't got basements. We've just got, you just have to rely on your curtain pole not falling down. I mean, that's too. Has
that ever happened? All the time. A curtain pole's always popping off the thing. Yeah.
For delivery, people think you're ever so rude.
Also, just always have an emergency dressing gown to chuck over you at any point. I mean, the thing is,
that's good advice. Nowadays, that's good advice for anybody, not just vampires.
Always have an emergency dressing gown. You never know when you're gonna need one.
See you later.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So he goes to the graveyard, the New Orleans graveyard. He says goodbye to the sun, and then he says, "All right, Lestat, how's this going to work?" Instantly, Lestat's on his neck.
He's all right. Yeah. He didn't even wait for an answer. He just assumed that he's turned up.
He didn't even need to do that, did he? The bastard.
No, but then he does this thing. It goes through me so much. Yeah. When people bite their wrists to open the vein, it's weird. It's okay with vampires, I suppose. But when you see people in films do it when they're not vampires, I think, is that even possible? Even thinking about it's kind of giving me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah. Is it possible? Will it stop? I don't think it will. It'll just keep going.
Getting a vein like a bit of red licorice.
And also, Brad Pitt drinks from Tom Cruise's wrist like a thirsty, hungover man who's woken in the middle of the night, and even the concept of water is so far removed. That he's like, "Get it down me!"
He's woken up drain dry, and someone just slid a Capri Sun next to his.
It's like he's trying to get the very last bit of the Capri Sun out. Come on.
Tom Cruise has a little slash at his wrist and goes, doesn't half wind it up first. He goes, "Could leave you to die, or give me a little drop of this. You'll see you're right." And he goes,
he's a wind-up merchant. He's a wind-up merchant.
God, but he's always on that guy. Never just be normal, Tom.
So when Louis becomes a vampire, obviously he goes through the whole process of essentially dying. His body dies, he shits his pants, and then everything changes around it. Everything changes but you. Why can he
rest the same forever now?
Why he looks at like a statue and it opens its eyes? Why is that a thing?
Is it a statue of his wife? And she's like, "Sorry for you, mate. We're all
right
in heaven. You're a ghoulie now."
I don't know. It's a bit weird.
Maybe it's in his head.
It stresses me out because I feel like I'm quite I'm quite like sound, susceptible to like all the sounds around me. It can be quite overwhelming at times. I feel like if I was a vampire, I'd just be like, oh god, Jesus, too much happening all around me.
You can turn into one of those quiet place things. You'd be thumping people.
I can hear the heartbeat of a gnat somewhere.
Yeah.
Shut up.
I guess you just like have earphones on all the time.
Yeah, you'd be right now, Ben.
Noise cancelling earphones.
1791.
They should put some of those noise cancelling headphones on the leggy venoms in the quiet place. Yeah, chill.
What just like, creep up behind them and go, boop.
Maybe
Not like you.
Oh, now, thank you. Sorry, I've been so off.
Sorry.
Sorry, I've been so leggy.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't have that right now. So he sees the world change around him. Like at first, though, from everything I've gathered in this film, when you first have that little bit of vampire blood, it doesn't give you a tummy ache to begin with, doesn't it? Like, oh,
it's one of those.
It's like after the first coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh God!
You gotta go.
What coffee are you drinking?
Too much.
Bleach again.
So I think it's all going okay. He goes home. And then I think but he's very sad because he realizes he's going to have to drink human blood.
Yeah, that's the first thing. That's the first sort of clash they have, right? So at first they're having a lovely time. They're out at the Wetherspoons. They're literally down the pub. This is the thing, right? It gets me
Probably
so
the
many
Wetherspoons
times.
today.
They're not careful at all. They're literally
Yeah,
they've got a booth at the pub, but they're literally out at the pub, and there's a lady there who, I think in the credits she comes up as like New Orleans like sex worker, prostitute, whatever. But effectively she's also delivering their drinks. So she is like the local bar woman. She's like, oh, have a blast of this wine. Honestly, you'll never drink any other wine again. And he's like, oh, and Tom Cruise, he's a smooth guy. He's like, tell you what, I've heard your lips are pretty much. And he uses a bit of his vampire magic, so she's into it. And he has some of her blood.
Glamour.
Yeah. He's like,
Jedi mind trick.
Yeah, he goes, you want to give me a bit of your blood? She goes, all right then. And he's having a blast on her blood. And she goes,
she's well into it.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, is Brad Pitt
not painful?
Is Brad Pitt as good as snogging as you are? And he goes, have a go. And he and she does, and he's biting her on the lips, having some blood out.
Yeah.
And Brad Pitt goes, tell you what, Tom Cruise, this blood is delicious. Shan't kill her though. And he's like, don't worry, I've done it. Oh, fucking hell.
yeah. Don't kill her. Already have. What are you gonna do about that?
What do you think blood tastes like to a vampire? Do you think it's like, I don't know, it tastes different, like sweet or something?
Coca-Cola. The nicest tasting drink in the world.
It makes your teeth feel a bit furry.
Yeah.
Well, they got such big ones, so they can brush them
I bet it's just like a lovely cold water, like when you are parched. There's nothing beats that.
I don't know. It seems a bit too thick for that. Like, do you think they drink water as well? No, I think they have to.
They can't have anything. Yeah, they can't enjoy it. I think that's
they can't even enjoy a Wrigley's. They can't even drink their own saliva.
Did you just say they can't even?
They're not allowed to swallow. Yeah,
maybe they don't swallow the chewing gum. They can
enjoy it. Yeah, they can just enjoy the flavour of mint.
Can't even enjoy a fucking Wrigley's, you bastard.
Yeah, I reckon it is. I reckon it's life-giving, like having a Coke. I went for a run the other day and I was done in afterwards.
Coke is good for that.
And then Karen goes, nip in the M&S. You faded a bit. Go and get yourself a sugary Coke. Pay the sugar tax. I was fading out. I was disappearing like I'd been Infinity Gauntleted. Yeah. And I was disappearing. I just got in there and got a sugary Coke, and all my like color contrast came back in as soon as I had a sip of it. I reckon
you blipped in.
Yeah, they should have just done that to Spider-Man after he turned to dust. Pour a bit of Coke on him.
It's like, oh, thank goodness. The most powerful liquid in the universe.
I go to his Lucozade Sport, the orangey one. Brings me back to life. What about you, Ben? What's your vampire's blood?
I think, Lucozade Sport is pretty good, because I think when you've been...
It's like glucose, isn't it? It's that bloody glucose.
It's bloody glucose. Glucose. That's not right.
If you... I think she's Glenn Close, I think it is.
Glenn Close. Yeah, if I've been like playing football or something, if I have a sip of water, I still feel a bit like empty, a bit like running on empty. Like it's all sloshing about in my belly, but it's not doing me any good. Orange Lucozade Sport just seems to like revitalize you, brings you back to life.
You get those isotoners, you're glowing like the Ready Breck Man. You are.
Is Ben all right? I'm fine. Absolutely fine.
It's fading out like Marty McFly's done something in the past. He's fading away, and you get like a Lucozade in you or a Coke, and you are. I reckon that's what it tastes like to him. The blooming can't get enough
Lucozade Sport. Yeah. Well, I mean, they're like leaving teeth marks and everything. They sleep in coffins. For some reason, I don't know why that's like something they have to do.
Because they seem to like poo-poo a lot of things that are quite.
I like that term.
I love that term. Certain things about vampire lore that are like commonplace, like have you got a reflection? Garlic, all that stuff. They go absolute nonsense.
Yeah, they've got reflections for days.
Witterings and nonsense.
Reflections, they slag off Bram Stoker, don't they? Go, witterings of a shithead Irishman.
They do have reflections because Claudia looks in the mirror after she cuts her hair a little bit later and sees it and goes, "Fuck!"
I mean, that would, I guess it wouldn't work for the plot if they couldn't see the reflections. So I mean, there's a bit later on we're talking about how Lestat is like biting and nibbling on everything. People seem to like it. There's a bit where he's like biting the girl's rib cage, and she's loving it. She's like, "This is the best thing I've ever experienced in my life." And then she looks down, and she's covered in blood, and she goes, "Oh, hang on
a minute."
It's a bit like when you're a kid, though, isn't it? You know, and you've fallen over and you've skinned your knees until you've looked at your knees and seen that you're bleeding. You're fine. You're
like a toddler who's fallen over. If Lestat like laughed and made out it wasn't a bad thing, she would have gone, "Hey, it's not that bad, is it?"
I remember when I was playing like football on some AstroTurf, like when I was in school, this kid like ran over to us and like fell, but like slid on his knees, and his knees were like all bleeding and just like pouring with blood. And we all went, "Ooh," like that. And he went, "Didn't even hurt, mate," and just walked off hobbling. Like,
oh, what a fool! He should know. Like
didn't even fucking hurt.
AstroTurf is like you've been wounded by a Nazgul blade; it never heals.
all the little bits.
If you fall on AstroTurf, you need Elvish medicine or you're fucked.
That's it, you're done.
So that woman doesn't have any Elvish medicine. Yeah, so Louis like, "I ain't killing her though, Lestat. Don't even ask us to." And he goes, "That's right, I did it. I got her with my thimble in the wrist while you were having a drink from her face."
Yeah.
So Louis just goes about sucking off rats.
But they just leave her at the table at the pub that she works at. Like, so one of them have to move every 10 minutes because surely, even though they're like vampires, it's like you've left a dead woman on this table.
Yeah. There's no CCTV. There's no what else? Fingerprint. I can't think of words like Jesus.
There's no forensics.
So
old Grissom isn't coming round and going. No.
You could do a murder and just leave a body there and leave a trail of bodies in your wake and
tooth marks in the necks. Yeah, it's them two men with pointy teeth. I bet who's done this.
those rich guys, that well-known landowner that lives around here. Do you reckon he was sitting at this table a minute ago, wasn't it? Before there was a dead one on it?
Can't make assumptions.
So he manages to hold off biting, killing, and drinking anyone, but then he gives in to Tandy Newton, who is his slave slash.
Kills a couple of poodles first as well.
Oh yeah, they go to a fancy party, don't they? Because it says, this is what it says. Oh, Lestat, he kills about 3 people a night. First he likes to start the day with like quite a young woman. Then he likes a fancy boy in the middle, and then he tends to finish.
I like a French fancy in the middle as well.
Yeah. Then he tends to pink ones are best, obviously.
The chocolate ones they're all a bit much actually. I can eat half. A bit rich.
And then he finishes the day with a rich person.
Yeah,
it's the thing. Like there is something a bit noncy. I can't think of any other word to describe it. Sorry, a bit noncy about the old. I guess it's that obsession with youth and seeing like the younger victims as having like the freshest blood and that. But it does come across, especially when there's a little bit later. Doesn't Antonio Banderas have like a little boy that he snacks on?
I was getting like Oscar Wilde vibes from Lestat. Quite a theatrical enjoys younger men. I don't know. I was just gonna sort of vibe off him, but what's his face? Lewis chomps on Tender Newton, and then he's like bereft of guilt and decides he like rage quits his life.
That's a bit after this. First they have this falling out before they do that, and he rage quits his life. This is when they have the falling out at the party. So he goes to a nice one, and this is where Lestat reveals he has his mind reading powers. He goes, "Yeah, read her mind then." He goes, "I can't." He goes, "Oh, sorry, we all got different powers. I didn't mention that as well." But she killed her old husband, this rich lady with her poodles. Got that lad to do it. Blamed it on one of the slaves. So let's get her, shall we? So while
let's get her.
While Lestat is getting the boy, he's like, "Oh, what's wrong with this?" And he's like, "Oh, not much. I'm gonna eat you." Brad Pitt, Louis is gonna snack on the old lady. She's like, "Oh, old enough to be your grandma," as he's about to bite her, but then the dog's barking at him. He doesn't like the noise, so he strangles the dogs. Again, remember, he's a good bloke at this point. So slave owner strangles dogs. He's still the good guy. He strangles the dogs, and she kicks right off. That isn't one of his powers to let her be okay.
I think his secret power is like he's dead good at developing apps. Doesn't come into fruition until much later in his life.
In fact, even after the events of this film, 1993, that's still not a useful ability.
Yeah.
When am I going to need to develop this Twitter or something, or Facebook or some shit like that?
Oh, you're almost there, Louis. You're almost there. But yeah, she's kicking off.
Mark Zuckerberg is definitely a vampire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
With his metaverse.
Yeah.
You can watch sunrises in there, can't he? I guess.
That's why it's made it.
She's kicking off. Lestat comes and snaps her neck, and he's livid. He's like, "What are you fucking doing? Don't strangle dogs when people are watching. And now you've left this body here. It's a right old mess."
It's like when you're playing an RPG game and you press the wrong button in someone's house, accidentally attack the dog or something.
Oh yeah.
And then like the whole law's on.
Yeah, you don't mean to do it. You're just trying to look at, like, you're trying to like talk to them. You accidentally steal a worthless cup from the table, and it's like, God!
Like the Imperial Guard chases you across the entire map.
Yeah.
Or in some games when the UI is really bad, and like the peacefully greet button is the same like context sensitive action of murder NPC.
Murder. That was difficult in Assassin's Creed because you did that. The little secret assassin knife comes out your wrist. Yeah. I just want to pickpocket this person because they've got. I stabbed them.
I've jumped on their back and slit their throat. Sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, they do that. Is this what they have? They have a little slow motion wrestle in the air.
They have a slow motion pre-Matrix floaty fight where they're clearly on wires, and Tom Cruise is just laughing. "Hey, pathetic! Trying to floaty kill me, are you? Ain't gonna happen. I'm stronger than you.
I'm too good at this. You're gonna have to poison me quite severely before you can beat me in a fight. That'll never happen." So he laughs about it, but then they go home, and this, Luke, is when you're saying that he rage quits life because his like housekeeper / cook comes in and goes, "Oh, blooming hell, Louis, you never eat any of your dinners.
That's a ham. He always has.
You've got to send this chap off because he's a wrong 'un, and all of the people are scared of him. But he kind of bites. He bites her, kills his nice. She did seem to genuinely care for him, even though he was a slave owner. She was like, "Oh, go on, we do worry about you," but he shows that trust was misplaced by eating her, and then rage quits life, as you were saying. Like, you're gonna go through how much he kicks off on this one.
And then is this when they go, "Oh, there's been an outbreak of plague down that way," and he goes, "I don't give a shit, mate. I'm gonna walk straight into the plaguey area."
Yeah, I mean, who knows the plague? How did they know definitely wasn't going to kill them? I mean, there could be some strain of plague that
before he goes into the plague bit, because after he's rage quitting and burning his house down, has a go at the slaves and goes, "Oh, tell you what, your master's mad. He's the blooming devil,
yeah,
I tell you. So I'm rage quitting this house." And then Lestat comes back and goes, "What are you doing? You don't burn the house down."
I've been out for 5 minutes. I just went nip to get a pint of milk. I don't know why. I don't drink it. But lactose intolerant.
Got a cat. Yeah, so it's like, oh, so don't do that. So they live in a graveyard for a bit, but then they rent some rooms. This is when he then goes and he's because this is where they have the fallout before he goes to the playroom. This is another one getting me. They're in a rental. Because we rented some rooms in this part of town, and the next minute they've got some bawdy sex worker types in.
Oh yeah, of course.
He's killing, and this is the bit that's like the toddler again.
Basically, if they've paid a deposit for these rented rooms, they're not getting that back.
Yeah.
As soon as they were doing it, like Lestat is there, slurping off the first one, kind of off camera, while the other one's sitting there drunk. So they go, "This is a rental, mate. None of this is your furniture. You are not getting it. You are not seeing a penny of this back." And also, again, how are you getting away with this? Because you're killing them at your house.
I guess people are just, maybe they've threatened them. Don't you dare report this to anyone, because we'll suck your blood. All right. Yeah. In fact, they're going to suck your blood before I leave. See you later.
But
that seems like the attitude they've got.
And this is the one this is where the guy, Lestat's showing that he's off his chops already, because he does that bit where she notices that she's been bleeding and goes, "Oh," and has a panic about it. He chucks her in a coffin because, "Oh, you must be dead. Get in here."
She does say, "Am I dead?" And he goes, "Probably. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows?" He's a twat.
He's mugging it. He's mugging it off. And he's going, "Libby, you got to kill her." He goes, Shan't kill her. He goes,
I shall not.
Does he in the end, or does Lestat have to do it?
Lestat does it. I don't think he kills anyone for a while.
No.
It's Claudia is the first person he bites after Tandini.
Yeah, that's it. So he pops down. That's when he goes to the plague area, and Claudia is a little Charlie Bucket character. She's a little orphan with a clearly dead mom who's literally like a skeleton. She goes,
"Mom,
can you wake mommy up?" And he goes,
"You remember some squash, please, Mum?"
I was like, "Mom,
you got something in your eye."
I know there's no school at the minute.
Yeah.
But you should recognise a skeleton when you see one, when your mum is one. What's that wrong about you?
Why do we think that Louis decides to feed on her? Is it almost like,
I guess it's like pity or something?
Pity, yeah, almost that.
And he's dead
like,
hungry.
Yeah.
He's dead hungry, and he's like, "Look at the state of her, and her mum's dead. No one's gonna miss her. I'm probably putting her out of her misery by doing that."
Yeah, his mum's turned to paper mache.
Yeah, and Lestat turns up, and again, this guy's on the whole time. He's like, as soon as he's done something, he's like the guy at the office, and like, you don't want him to see, because you know he's going to wind you up. You see you having a bad day. So basically, Louis had a bit of a slip. He's eaten this kid after saying he's not going to kill anyone. And as soon as he's done it, Lestat's like in the door, may as well be eating an apple. He's like, "Oh," and he like jumps in, and he's picking up the mom, and he's dancing around the room with her.
Yeah.
But the skeleton mom, he's having a dance with skeleton mom, and Louis goes, "Oh, fuck's sake, Lestat," and he storms off a bit further to eat some rats in the drain. Lestat comes back and says, "Oh, soz, mate, but I have got you a present." He says, "Oh, really?" And what he's done is he's got her. She's still alive, and he turns her into a vampire. She gets on it straight away. As soon as he puts his wrist next to her, she's
just very thirsty.
She's on it, and she's like, "Oh, please, sir, or some more." And he goes, "More?" He doesn't say more. He doesn't go into a full Oliver thing, but he.
So this is almost like a power play by Lestat again to control and keep Louis on a tight leash, if you like, by kind of like reminding him of that moment of weakness forever. Remember that time when you killed a little girl whose mother died in the plague?
I guess so. I actually didn't pick up on that. I felt like I think Louis says to Christian Slater he wanted to like make a family, but mainly to keep him there. But also Louis suspected that Lestat also just wanted to start building a sort of family unit as well.
Yeah.
It's almost like when there's a relationship that's a bit toxic and not quite working, and they go, how can we make this better? Maybe we could go to therapy. Maybe we just go our separate ways. It's probably for the best. We're not a very good fit. No, add a kid to the mix. That's going to work.
Get them stuck in. And this is where we see, she generates her curls for the first time. Her hair reaches its final form.
Yeah, because her hair is a bit like a bit matted, a bit dirty. But luckily, turning you into a vampire immediately is basically like going to a salon.
It's like the best conditioner you can buy.
It's amazing, yeah. People go, where'd you get your hair done? It's absolutely beautiful. Just got turned into a vampire and it sorted itself right out.
Pantene Pro V. Yeah. What do you think the V is in Pro V? Pantene Pro V.
You don't get to choose what kind of hairstyle you get though. That's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you got stuck with like I don't know, like Pat Sharp
mullet.
Mullet.
I don't want this one. You get what you're given.
Just like one patch of hair there, alopecia everywhere else. Yeah. Just like one side of the mustache.
Saying that that curly hair is the ultimate form of hair.
Yeah.
She's obviously in with the bread companies, big bread.
Ever such tight curls as well, very impressive.
Yeah.
And Claudia takes to being a vampire like the complete opposite of Louis, really. Whereas he's like, oh, I don't want to kill people. I only want to eat rats. She's like, I'll kill everyone. Everyone I come into contact with. Someone who's teaching me how to play the piano, dead. Someone who's measuring me for a dress, dead. I'm going to dress up as a little girl, pretend I'm lost, and just go and sit on a bench. Anyone who comes up to me and says, are you all right, little girl? Dead.
Yeah, dead. Have you noticed this Trigger from Only Fools and Horses that teaches us to play the piano?
Yeah. I did notice that. Yeah. I did notice that.
She is straight on it. And this is one of the points where they go like, and it's happened once already, I'm sure, because him and Louis and Lestat have been hanging around for a while. But they say, like 30 years or so just went by.
Yeah, I think that is pretty much what they say, isn't it? You kind of get a montage.
City built up around them, they say.
Yeah. Yeah. You get like a montage, a similar sort of like a Rocky training montage, but it's them loving life, going, partying. Also, it is weird because you've got a kid with you, and the kid can only go around at nighttime. That is kind of weird. I think even the person
bedtime.
It's 2 a.m. Nah, she's a twat. She's always.
It'll be so bad in winter. Once it's dark at 4 o'clock. No, it's winter. It's fine.
So it's almost like Louis got like a sort of fatherly love for Claudia, and I guess he kind of feels responsible for her in a way because he was the one who initially bit her. But Lestat kind of treats her, I guess, as something of a
like an accessory, right? Because
like
this is when we come back to it, right? Because Lestat is like 30 years pass, and we see that things are going a bit awry. They're walking through the town, it's changing, and Claudia's eyeing up some woman getting changed in the window. It's like, oh, do you want to pop her up for dinner? No, I fancy being her. And then they leave it at that. And then next minute, Lestat is bringing her a doll, and he goes, got you a doll? Just, another one. Jeez, you give me dolls all the time, always on the same day of the year. And I don't know why he didn't say, oh, it's your birthday. Because is it my birthday or something? And he goes,
no, it's just coincidence.
Don't even notice it. She has got for in the past. Don't know if they have calendars in the same way we have them now. Certainly hasn't got an iPhone, so.
Well, Lewis has told her about this app he's got in his mind. It's going to make one day. Tells you exactly what day it's going to be.
Yeah, and everyone will have someone called Alexa in their house.
Yeah.
So while he's done that. So she's got a very, very good idea of what day it is. But Lestat's like, no, just coincidence that it's always been the same day of the year that I give you a doll. And he goes, I'll chuck him in the bin then if you don't want him. And then in doing that, notices that woman she was looking at earlier on is stuck
dead
in
her bed.
All muddy.
Oh, no.
And
very, very
Lestat
bad.
is livid, but it escalates very quickly. This is when we get the hair cutting scene. She goes, don't fancy having blooming curls, do I? Chops her hair off And
she's obviously like super frustrated that she is aging, obviously mentally, but not physically. She's never going to grow out of the form of little 10-year-old Kirsten Dunst, which is, she hates that. She hates Kirsten Dunst. And and so yeah, she loses her nut. And then that is when the seeds, I guess, are implanted into her head to plot to make Lestat pay for being a bastard.
Yeah. So although Lestat, like as the eternal adult in this situation where she's the eternal child, you know, a little bitch about this. Because like when she comes in we later find out hatch her plot after she chats to Louis and she finds out the truth that it was Lestat that turned her into a vampire. She's a bit pissed off with Louis for a while because he had a hand in it, but she goes, we're still mates though.
He's like, if it was up to me, I would have just let you die.
She goes, all right, thanks. So she's all right with Louis, but she goes, right, Lestat, I'm done with you. But she goes in, and we know that it's part of a larger plan. But she does go in trying to be nice. And Lestat is a little bitch about it. Everything he says is like, "Oh, sorry, I killed that woman." He's like, "Oh, I killed her because she's like what you'll never be because you're a kid forever." It's like, all right,
yeah,
all right, give me a break.
But she goes, "Oh, I was coming to make friends. Got you these two chubby little boys here."
Does she say that?
No, but they've got little
chubsters. Got these two chubby funsters here for you.
Yeah, she's got a couple of like rosy-cheeked boys that are asleep on the sofa.
They're just having a bit of sleep. I gave them a Horlicks and they doze right off.
Yeah, give them a Horlicks. Put the new Adele album on. They've drifted right off, and he's gone. And Lestat's like.
Lestat, for somebody who seems to be like a step ahead of everybody, is very quick to just chow down on these guys. Yeah, he's not like.
But what's she given them that makes the?
She's given them laudanum. Apparently that kills them, but keeps them. I don't know if that's a thing about laudanum. Keeps your blood warm.
Keeps your blood warm. Yeah. Don't know why you know that.
And we've had a lesson earlier on because when she's eating people up, he says, "Oh, I'll stop before the heart stops because it's no good if you drink. It's no good if you drink dead blood." She goes, "All right then, I shan't." But she's given them laudanum to trick me. He goes, "Oh, have you given these guys bloody absinthe? It's gone right to my head." She's going, no, giving them laudanum, and then Lestat gets poorly.
I mean, so I think there is like the myth that if a vampire drinks dead man's blood, it's supposed to like kill them. But I don't think Kirsten Dunst knows that it's going to kill him.
To be fair, she's had 30 years have gone by, and we've only seen a few things.
No, we've seen everything she's ever experienced.
Have you noticed as well that she starts dressing like a sort of older person? It's almost like as the 30 years pass, even though her body doesn't change, she starts dressing as sort of like an older person as well.
Yeah, less like a dolly.
Less like a dolly and more like her hair's up and she's wearing like dresses and shawls. A lovely shawl. So I guess she's heard somewhere. This could have been a part that was cut, you know. Maybe she, I don't know, crept into a mortician's, had a little look. What's going on in there? Oh, we got this stuff keeps their blood warm. She's like, hatch my evil plan.
But I mean, so it could just him drinking dead man's blood could have just been like, it's not. I told you not to drink after the heart stop because it tastes weird. Like, who knows that it's actually gonna. I mean, I think it should kill him, but it doesn't. It just makes
either way. She knows it's made it. She knows it's going to make him at very least right poorly, and he is immediately the guy that is aware that he's had too much at stag do, and he's like, "Oh, get us to bed. Just get us to bed. Get us to bed. I'll be all right. I'll be all right." He's like your friend after he's been sick of a night out,
and he's like spinning. The room is spinning. He's like, pulling a whitey.
He's pulling a whitey. And it's like, right, have I got to get you to A&E? It's like, no, just get us to bed. Get us to bed. I'll be all right. Get us to my coffin. And they don't get him to his coffin. She goes,
fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you, mate. I'm going to slash your throat instead. And he gets, he's gushing out there. And if he was in a Resident Evil game, Ben, he'd be dead because the puddle of blood is spreading out from under him.
Puddle of blood. Yeah. Oh, they're dead.
That
Go out the
bit's
room
thick
and then
as
back
well,
in,
dark.
and then be gone.
Yeah.
How does Louis react to this? I think he's a bit like he's
Oh,
acting like
bloody
someone spilled something on the carpet. He's like, "Oh no!
Sorrento!
Oh fucking hell! Get the vanish on it."
So they wrap him up like a little burrito in some bedding, and then they chuck him into the swamp, local
For a
New
duvet
Orleans
day.
swamp, for duvet day. And there's like alligators there. Like I would have thought they might want to chomp on him or something. I don't know, but the alligators don't seem to be even real, to be honest. And then he sinks into the swamp, and then we think all's well. He is completely dead.
100%.
It will never darken our doorstep again, and we're going to go to Europe. And Claudia's been reading about Europe vampires. We're going to have a great time.
So
I actually
they plan
really
a voyage.
like. Go on, sorry.
Like I say, they plan a voyage to Europe, but they're like, "Oh, we can't leave. The boat's going to take weeks." It's like, oh, bloody hell.
Yeah.
No such figures booking a flight and jumping straight on it.
This bit where Lestat comes back, like the piano's playing, the curtains covering him, and he's like all gross and shit. Like it's I don't know.
He's scabby. He's like Jeff Goldblum mid-fly transformation.
Yeah. I don't know. It's really effective. It's very gothic and romantic and horrific. And then, but I don't think he does. What happened to it? It doesn't do very well, does he?
He's planned his entrance, but not the rest of his revenge. He gets there and he's like, "I am so annoyed with you guys.
He actually looks tired. You need to lie down, mate."
Yeah,
like
as
he's been eating snakes or something.
As you can see, I am absolutely fucked. I've been eating snakes.
Eating snakes and alligators
to get this much better to come and have my revenge on you. And then immediately, having said that, Louis wazzes an oil lamp at him and he burns up.
He does wazz at him. Yeah.
He loves wazzing, like Louis. He's wazzes an oil lamp. He gets pretty handy with a scythe later on.
Yeah.
Louis will burn a house down like that, and that's what he does.
Yeah. That's his special power. He can burn anything down, even if he didn't mean to. So he what's the name? Lestat like crawls up the ceiling like a beetle, like scuttles up, and then just sets fire to everything, just screaming, doesn't think to like roll or anything, just sets fire to more and more stuff. The entire, I think, is there some sort of big famous fire of New Orleans? I got the impression that they were hinting that he started some huge
might have
fire.
started it.
It was an unbelievably huge fire. This has got a hand.
I guess that's the thing, that you understand that health and safety messages change over the years. The same as pregnancy messages now about what you should and shouldn't eat. For all we know, the health and safety, now stop, drop, and roll is absolutely standard. Any health
the great New Orleans fire, 1788. What year would this have?
Without checking, I'm going to say 1788.
I think it was 1760 something, and then it was supposed to be 30 years have passed. So
I think the idea is that Louis, with his special vampire fire starting
powers, has got him. Lestat has used the best advice at the time was, if you're on fire, climb a curtain. Smother the flames in the richest fabric you can find in the house.
Scream as loud as possible.
I've got there's this new material that won't be publicly available for another 200 years almost, but we make the curtains in this fancy rented apartment out of something called shell suit, and I'm gonna wrap myself in this material.
Yeah,
it goes up like a blooming tinderbox, doesn't it? So it goes.
He runs around the entire of New Orleans screaming, climbing up everybody's curtains. Oh, it's that guy who's on fire. He's sitting on my house, and then he kept going until New Orleans was burned.
There's someone else. They're just sitting down to their tea. Doorbell goes. Who's that? Open the door.
Chip pan fire.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Someone chucks water over, makes it worse. He's made it incredibly bad for everyone. So he starts to think, the other guys, I mean, don't feel bad just for Lestat. These guys almost missed their boat.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
What bad timing.
As part of his. Now, do you think independently the carriage they were expecting didn't come because it was the night they were going, or do you think Lestat cancelled it and he was like, "Oh, don't bother, Gonna murder him.
Yeah.
Do you think as they both were setting off and they saw the flames in New Orleans, Lou was like, it can't be that bad.
It'll be all
He'll
right.
settle down soon. He'll settle down. Cuts to him reading the newspaper. The Great New Orleans Fire. Oh.
Oh dear.
Just adding to the guilt he has. For
Everyone
all these things.
dead.
Yeah.
I didn't kill anyone.
Dead. He went
Millions
years,
dead.
years back killing anyone.
Millions
Accidentally
dead.
killed everyone.
He does kill people on this boat though, because he goes, "Oh, there was no blooming rats on that boat." Unless he meant there were no rats because he ate them all, and then Claudia ate the others because it goes, there was a strange plague that only we seemed immune to. So I assume they were killing people on that boat.
I think he's killing people willy-nilly now. Well, not willy-nilly, not quite as willy-nilly as...
Just nilly.
Just
not
nilly.
Quite willy.
Yeah. Because, he's going to eat Christian Slater later on in life. Like, he said, I was going to eat you, but now I'm going to talk to you. Which is,
I thought I'd give you an interview with me, the vampire.
Is it the vampire or am I a vampire?
I looked up the stat. I looked up the poster. The poster says the.
Oh, okay, this might change the name game a little bit, but yeah. So they get to Europe.
Sorry.
Yeah.
This bit, I feel like this act of the movie, I feel like it suffers a bit with no Lestat. I don't know. I found this was a bit of a lull in the film, I think, this whole bit, because I think Armand is kind of like put across as being someone who's potentially an ally, but then almost becomes, and his troupe, who are a coven of vampires who they meet in Paris, who are vampires pretended to be humans, pretended to be vampires to make a theater of vampires where they seem to kill humans in public.
And they found their niche, haven't they?
They found an incredible niche. There's a really weird bit where he encounters one of the vampire. Is it Santiago? And sees him for the first time. And
he's like the meme person. He's a meme, not mime even.
He's a bloody meme in 1878. It's the world's first meme.
He's got one of the smarmiest,
very
arsey faces. But he slaps Brad Pitt around the face for some reason. He gives him the 1-2.
Yeah, he does. He reminds me of wasn't Michael Sheen in a Twilight movie? I've seen this meme a lot.
He's one of the leaders. He's one of the leaders of them baddies, isn't he?
Yeah, he reminds me of that. Just a big smarmy twat.
He doesn't go out of his way to make a good first impression, but they get to Paris, having been to loads of other places in Europe, right? It's I went to, because they cut back to Christian Slater, because no vampires in Transylvania, and he's like, yeah, I told you, no Draculas. There's no anything, but we found a way to Paris, and he's like, I gave up looking for vampires, sick of it. So I just went to the theater one day, and then on the way back, this guy turns up, and what a time. You've been searching for vampires all this time, and then the first one you meet is an absolute prick. The moment you meet him, he's doing mime, and he's slapping you in the face, and it's
what the fuck?
Great, thanks.
Really
so glad I found you. And then Armand comes and goes, "Oh, actually, I'm nice. I'm a nice vampire."
His hair is straightened. Obviously, when he got turned into a vampire, his hair went perfectly.
He just
it was it had an afro, turned into a vampire, and it kind of all straightened out.
Well, I didn't ask for it, but I'll make the most of it.
The most of this, I'll have literally poker straight hair.
Yeah. So isn't there aren't we supposed to believe that Santiago reads Louis's mind?
He can read minds.
Oh, it doesn't. That's one of his powers, isn't it? So first they go to the theatre performance where they've got a woman on stage, and she goes, "Oh, please, genuinely, guys, not part of the act. I'm going to be killed by these vampires. Someone help us."
They're like, she's really good at this. She is.
They're in the audience. Oh, she's brilliant. One of the audience members goes, "Oh, go on, Mr. Vampire,
can't wait to see what she's in next."
As a go at killing us, and goes, "Oh, no, this is just part of an act. Obviously, you have to be a professional actor." And then the bin bag vampires all get to eat her. They are in
That's a good name. I love that name.
Sequiny bin bags.
The bin bag vampires. That's got to be a kid's book or something. Bin bag vampires.
Because they'd be sunproof, wouldn't they? During the day, just have your bin bag on.
Yeah, exactly.
He
Yeah.
used to wear bin bags. He's writing that
For
down, Lee.
trick or treat.
You used to have bin bags like to trick or treat, didn't you? When you're like a kid in the 80s, 90s.
That sounds like kids dressed up as vampires in the mid 90s.
But they actually are vampires.
But they actually are vampires.
As a child, I had a terrible nightmare. I still remember it now. Terrible nightmare about global warming, where the sun became so incredibly hot it was going to burn me up like Judgment Day, and and I have a horrible thing of in what is still to this day in my parents' living room, trying to hide in a bin bag so as not to get like obliterated by the sun unsuccessfully.
That's from Terminator, like the visuals of Terminator. You know, with
Sarah Connor trying to get into a bin bag. Yeah. I still remember this nightmare, trying to get into a bin bag unsuccessfully. Years later, that bad lady from Midnight Mass would not be able to do similar. But
I still think those vampires in, sorry, spoilers, Midnight Mass spoilers. I still think those vampires in Midnight Mass should just go under a tarp, or just I don't know. They could have got away from the sun, easy peasy.
Put a brolly up.
I think some of them even die like on a bridge. I'm like, at least get under the bridge. Jesus.
Yeah. I think a lot of them are like, I don't want to be a vampire though. So
yeah, they were nice. These that did that. It's only the bad lady, really.
Yeah. She tried to bury herself in the sand.
Like bin bags.
If she had like a little kid's shovel and spade or whatever to get herself, put the little sandcastle bucket over your head, you'd be fine.
As long as your head's all right.
Exactly.
Perfect.
The rest of you can grow back in the evening.
Just got to last there for 8 hours. Or maybe longer. 12
I mean, it'd be
hours.
boring, but you'll live.
Yeah, not worth it, is it?
Build a better house tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't do this. They're doing theatre, these bin bag vampires. And they nip down and they live in the Paris catacombs, I guess. They live in an underground bit of the theatre. Got a nice setup. And this is where they've got Armand has a little boy that he drinks from.
Yeah, a snack boy.
He's got a snack boy.
Oh, even lets Louis have a little bite on him. He goes,
have a go on that kid.
And he goes to bite on a bit of his hand. He goes, "Oh, I don't like that bit of hand. I like this bit."
Yeah,
it's like when your mate offers you a bit of your drink, and it's like, I'll have the other side of the glass.
Offers you half of Snickers, and they've bitten it in half. Yeah, this boy, who's the snack boy, tastes a little snack. That guy. I'm pretty sure it's the guy from Dune, Timothée Chalamet. But also, what's his deal? I mean, he's not a vampire. Maybe they're going to turn him into.
He can go out in the day because he's driving the coach in the day, isn't he? So he's got a little familiar
designated driver. Yeah, but he's maybe when he reaches a certain age, because they don't turn kids into vampires. Maybe when he reaches prime vampire age, which looks to be, I don't know, like 45, judging by Santiago, 50. That's when they'll turn it.
Yeah, when his hair is the perfect hair, he's waiting to get the right hair. He's like, I'm waiting for curtains to be in, mate, and that's when you can turn me. But until that day, I'll just drive your car and be a snack boy. And then this is the point. They go and do this visit. They stay just for a minute. And he goes, "Oh, love to hear about America, vampires." And we'll tell you another time, but we best go for now because they realise actually they're a bit pretentious. They're not great. They're always doing theatre and eating people, and it's no good. Louis already warned Claudia. It's like, "Oh, some of these guys will be able to read your mind, so just be dead careful, right?" But then as he's leaving, he even does it in the narration. I was just thinking, how it was shit. How I did Lestat over, and then one of the guys goes, "What's that about? What's that about that chap, Lestat? You said you did something wrong. Think that again, would you?" And he's like,
"No, I said I really need Lestat." That's how you say it.
Like, you speak French.
You speak French. Oh, you want a cat? Go down the Cat's Protection League. You can get yourself one.
Yeah. On my way. But that's suspicious thing.
Oh. Constantly.
What he actually says to him is, "Oh, by the way, we got the one rule of the vampire house is you mustn't. It's really frowned upon. don't go killing a vampire, because if you do that, you'll be put to death. And it's like, I won't then. So you don't. Well, I won't. Well, don't be worried about it as long as you don't kill a vampire. I ain't worried because I haven't.
But little does he know, by the end of the day, he'll have the longest vampire kill streak known to anybody.
Yeah, Classic Louis. Always says, I'm never going to do that thing. I'm never going to kill that thing. Always ends up killing millions of them.
I'd never kill a poodle. I would never kill a poodle. I love them.
End of the night, killed 2 poodles. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, any of the people in my household, the people that wouldn't. Yeah. Never burned this house down. Brilliant house.
Louis the Destroyer. They ended up calling him in years' time. the Impaler. Vlad the Impaler. Yeah. So I think they go. Oh, okay. Yeah. So now he has a chat with Armand, and Armand is like, I know everything about vampires, and you've got loads of questions about vampires. I could tell you to them at some point in time if you wanted me to. But then this makes Kirsten Dunst really worried that he's going to leave her.
He kind of says, doesn't he? He says, "I'll pie that kid off because it's forbidden to make little kid vampires anyway." Because
I think he says for her own safety,
they're too short. They can't go on roller coasters. Never will be able to.
Can't get into the cinema to see Superman, which is going to be big for you guys later on. You're going to love Superman.
I love that shit.
Yeah.
So he goes, pie that kid off, and then I'll teach you about being a vampire. Lestat, I've heard of him, dickhead.
He does say I knew about Lestat. He was a right twat.
I thought it was going to turn out that Armand was the one who turned Lestat, but
yeah, that would have been interesting.
Doesn't sound like it is.
Lestat.
So then Kirsten Dunst, because she doesn't want to be left alone, she's found a woman who worked in like a doll shop to be her mum by proxy.
New vampire mum.
Because her daughter died, wasn't it? So she was almost like in the same sort of...
Her daughter that looked a lot like Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah.
She was my daughter had ever such lovely curls. Dead though.
Oh, my daughter had ever such lovely curls. I'd love it if my daughter had lovely curls that never changed from day to day. They look the same.
Have I got something for you?
How did Claudia find that woman who was perfect to be turned into and wanted to be turned into a vampire as well?
She meet her at a doll shop only in the hours of darkness.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Are you still open? No, we've been closed for 4 hours. Can I come in? Have a little chat, tete-a-tete.
Yeah. But so Louis says okay because
turn this woman into a vampire. He goes, oh no, I've always said I'll never turn someone into a vampire. And me.
Classic Louis. The flip-flopper of the vampire world.
Yeah, Louis stick to his word is what they call me in the old country.
He's so flaky, just depends what mood he's in. Like, do you want to turn... Well, maybe. I don't know. Who cares?
But she talks him round real quick. She says, oh, go on, turn her into a vampire because you want to chuff off and hang out with Armand anyway. So turn this woman into a vampire. He goes, all right then. But I reserve the right to be an absolute little bitch about it afterwards. And she goes, okay. He turns her into a vampire and then goes and mopes on the balcony and says, yeah, she's thrashing about and dying there, but actually it's me that's dying. The last bit of my humanity.
One of those narcissists.
Bit of my humanity is gone.
Narcissists who makes everything about them. Oh, I just got a proper paper cut on my finger then. I got the worst paper cut in history. It chopped my hand in half once. You should have seen it. I didn't cry like a little bitch like you are.
Oh, sorry. Looking for vampires in Bloody Tenerife. I've been looking for them in Leavenworth myself, mate. That's me.
Jesus. I'm in agony. And then while you're having a lovely mope on the balcony, what happens? Bin bag vampires burst in and just take your captive.
They burst in like the bobbies, like oi, 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 oi. And he goes, oh yeah, I know you've literally just solved the problem of you like, it looks like you'll be able to go your separate ways and we'll cover this up, but this is the point we've chosen to seize you.
Yeah. A poor woman. She just turned into a vampire as well.
Absolutely gutted.
I can't wait to live forever.
Dead and dust within an hour, maybe.
Yeah, straight away, literally a vampire. The irony of ironies, the thing that would have been absolutely fine to happen to you before, like the worst as a human, if you've been stuck in a well while the sun comes up, inconvenienced, bored.
She's properly scared of the sun. Like she's got some history with it. Like she's been a vampire for ages. It's burned. She knows how dangerous it could be. If she'd just been turned into a vampire,
maybe
what if they'd left
innate?
What if they'd left out the bit where sunlight burns you, and she was just like, "What are you screaming for, little girl? It's fine."
Yeah.
They're in Paris, but so maybe she was brought up in the south of France and took a bit of a nasty burn there in a hot summertime.
Did you see the size of those dresses? They could have hidden in those dresses. I don't understand vampires who don't put in any effort to escape the sun. Yeah. Just get under the dress. Like the mum had like a tent she was like walking on.
Flip a couple of those petticoats over the top, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
But yes, they don't, because the bimbag vampires say, right, you two immediately to death. You, Louis, prison forever, I guess. Bricked up in a wall.
Up in a wall. It's going to be quality. You're going to love it. So they sling him into a coffin and brick him up in a wall, and they sling them into like some chamber where the sunlight gradually.
It's like a well that the sun's going to come into.
Fly up or do that weird vampire thing where they kind of.
Maybe they don't have fly powers.
Yeah. This is edited in a way that makes it feel like so Louis is like screaming and trying to get out while he's getting bricked up, and the Claudia and the woman are screaming as the sunlight's coming towards them. And it's edited in a way to make it feel like he's desperately trying to get out, and he's going to get there just in time.
He's been bricked up quite well, though. One of those vampires, their gift must have manifested as being an excellent masonry.
I like his
bricky.
I like that his coffin is like it's like a no nail coffin. Yeah, it's got like a little door handles on there to kind of open it up. Little valves.
It's like got wing nuts, Allen key. Literally they've drilled him in there, and then
when he opens, it's like when Predator undoes his mask, gas escapes, and bloody hell, Louis.
Louis, you were in there for literally 5 minutes.
I was stressed though, wasn't I?
I was stressed, and I've guffed me.
You only just turned into a vampire. Jesus.
Maybe it was like because apps hadn't been invented, it could have been that one of those vampires was like Vampire Notch and was like Minecraft would be in his future, but right now he's building those walls like it's no one's business. He's like crafted, that wall is done. Armand chips him out of there real quick, and it's like, yeah, I've saved you. What would have happened if he just stayed in there?
I don't know, just bored. Yeah.
Ever so bored, Jesus. But he immediately says, "I can't help them," and the reason he can't help them is because they're already dead. They're already turned to dust. So Louis runs there to save them, opens the door, and they've been ashed. Such delicate ash as well that even if you breathe within a meter of it, it all collapses.
Just looking at them was enough. It was like we could have stayed here forever, but
like they've been gunked or something, like some sort of game show thing. They've been ashed.
They've only gone and been ashed.
Vincent Phillips has seen them. Oh, you want your kid to have curly hair forever, do you? Won't let her change it. Well, time to get your own back.
I tell you what, it would be a good prank if you're a vampire to like lie down somewhere where the sunlight may have been earlier, cover yourself in ash, and do like you've been turned to ash, and then your other vampire mate comes down. No! Only joking. I didn't get out.
Does Santiago in the Bimbag Vampires not mind that they've just built that wall, just put Brad Pitt in there, and then Armand is like undoing all their hard work?
I think is Armand like in charge?
He says there isn't a leader, but if there was, it would be him. So kind of.
So maybe they won't say. Or maybe they're like, well, I suppose 2 out of 3 isn't bad. We ashed that woman that did nothing and the little kid. maybe you could claim that bricking him up forever was just horseplay, teach him a bit of a lesson.
Yeah, but what did the woman do? The woman hadn't killed any vampires. She wasn't a kid vampire. She was the bog standard vampire.
Guilty by proxy. Hanging out with them, are you? You must have had something to do with it.
Maybe they just think, oh, well, they made her and we're against anything about them. So
if she'd just been made into a vampire, she would have voided her bowels, so she'd have absolutely stunk. They wouldn't want to go near her.
She's fresh, this one.
Green velvet dress as well, like crushed velvet dress. That ain't coming out.
Oh, I did. So, I guess Brad Pitt goes home or something. I can't remember. And
Brad Pitt goes mental and just kills all the vampires. Like,
guess what he does?
But he doesn't.
Fire.
Fucking burns it down.
Bit of fire, bit of Simon as well, which I thought was just like a stage prop, but it's like it literally cuts what's his face in half.
It chops a load of them. It gets that, like, because he puts all the. This is like Ace Chemicals, but there are barrels and barrels of like explosive fire liquid that is just tipped down the drains where all the vampires sleep.
There's loads of red barrels that you've just got to shoot with one 9mm bullet. Bang!
Yeah.
And he uses all that stuff. And then as soon as he starts setting them on fire, one of them pops out. The woman, I think she's in the background of my one here, the one that like really lords up, like capturing him. She's like, oh, you're putting this on fire. And he chops her head right off. And then the mime guy comes up and he halves him.
Oh, yeah, that was good. That was satisfying because he was a twat. He deserved to be halved.
Shallow halved. Yeah. So Armand picks him up outside because like the sun's coming up or something, and Armand's like, "Get in my coach."
Yeah, the little snack boys driving it, and then like Louis is the first one to make any attempt to hide from the sun. He at least puts his coat over his head.
Yeah, smart, very smart. And then him and Armand are having a conversation, and it seems like Armand was like, "I realize that they're all knobheads, so I'm completely fine with them being utterly slaughtered. These people have probably spent thousands of years, well, hundreds of years with. I'd rather be with you because you are beautiful." And then I guess Louis
swivel on it.
Thanks. Yeah, he goes, nah, thanks. Are we meant to? Is it just? Did I get the wrong end of the stick in this one? Does Louis think that Armand grassed him up?
I think he
thinks he has something to do with it.
Yeah, or like at least he allowed Claudia to be killed, almost like for his own gain. That Louis would then be free and available for him to become his new, not snack boy, but like.
Yeah, thematically that makes sense because Lestat was always kind of playing with him emotionally to try and keep him on a short leash. So this time it feels like maybe Armand was trying to do the same thing, but it's kind of him breaking away from that and saying,
same
no.
red flags, red flags. And of course, Armand must have had something to do with it because obviously this is happening in a pre-video game society. He wouldn't have known where he was bricked up. Like, he wouldn't have had those social clues to know those bricks are a slightly different colour.
I mean, they might have been a slightly different colour, yeah.
No, they only had different. Have you got any brick? Have you got bricks the same as this wall? We can break them up in. Only got these ones, different colour. Oh, I'll have to do. It's not perfect. I'll have to do.
Yeah.
To paint them, yeah.
So I guess Armand just gets on with his life. He goes to look at some art or something.
He accepts it. He's like, well, guess I'm just on my own then, I guess.
Yeah.
Isn't now when there's like a giant jump in time? Like nothing much happened in the next 200 years.
I actually quite liked it. I quite liked he says, and then I saw the sunrise for the first time on like a black and white film, and then they made colour, and then I just watched Superman.
And then I watched the original Superman.
Yes.
I liked. I don't know. And then he lived in New York for a bit, I think. And then he got like a suit jacket, and he just wore that all the time.
And then he listened back to New Orleans.
The heat is on all the time. Yeah, and then he went to New Orleans, and then he smelled Lestat.
Was that after he came out of the cinema from watching Superman? He said, "Oh,
probably, yeah."
Love it, Ella. What else is going to happen this evening? I believe a man can fly.
Yeah.
Oh, Superman, what a movie! And he, at the end, looked like he was waving at me.
What?
Yeah.
Not me. Not me.
So
And
he
he comes
finds
out and goes,
that
smell something in here. And
he's eating rats, isn't he? That's it.
Yeah. Because he's still 200 years later, he's still well poorly.
Yeah, that I suppose that Dead Man's Blood really did do a number on him.
The worst hangover ever. He's like, oh. And then again, I tell you what, think back, guys. When you were 17, 18, no hangovers.
Yeah.
You get to your mid-20s, early 30s, a 2-day hangover is a thing.
You get to your mid-200s.
Yeah, hangover from having...
Forget about it.
Having bad blood, that'll last you eons.
Yeah. But he like leaves Lestat to his little house.
He's kind of a bit mad now, right? Because then a helicopter comes and he's like, oh, blooming hell, what I did in the light is going to get me. It's worse than the sun, I tell you. And he's like, oh, Lestat, come on. I'm the dramatic one around here. I don't know if you've heard about The Last of My Humanity.
God.
That's artificial light, mate. Don't even worry about it, you little baby.
Yeah.
And then he goes, anyway, I'm going now. Bye. I've just come to kind of say hello for a minute.
And then he goes to San Francisco. He finds Christian Slater. He starts telling him his story. Christian Slater says, I want to be a vampire there. Yeah. Christian Slater said,
I want to be a vampire. Everything you've told me, and the conclusion I've come to of everything you've told me, is that being a vampire be quality.
Yeah. And Brad Pitt seems really frustrated. He's like, oh, I failed.
Moral of the story.
I told you the story and revealed vampires were properly real with the idea of putting you off being a vampire.
Yeah.
He's got completely the wrong end of the stick. He watches any film he watches, he gets the wrong end of the stick all the time. He walks out like, oh yeah, it'd be great to do that. Yeah, it'd be quality. Yeah. Idiots.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish robot policemen were running Detroit. No.
That'd be great.
No,
I had a memory of this film. I knew how it ended. And like watching it now, I was almost like a little bit sad for Christian Slater because like he's listened to this entire story. He's dead excited to kind of write a blog post about it. And I thought, and then he's going to get killed. But then I didn't realize at the end of this so he's driving across the bridge and Lestat is in the back seat somehow. And he kind of bites his neck or whatever. But it turns out that Lestat is going to turn him into a vampire, which is what he actually wanted. So
why is he scared? Also, he's driving in a convertible car on a bridge at night, and he puts on a tape of a spoken word interview, and he can hear it perfectly driving along.
What a sound system!
Oh yeah, that's great. I remember that bit of the interview. That was the best bit.
Put his audio cassette, and then you're right. Lestat pops up, and
are we meant to believe that Lestat has followed Louis from New Orleans for whatever reason? It was New Orleans. It is New Orleans, isn't it? Yeah.
He's had a little bit more. He's had a few more years to do it, right? Because you nipped and saw him in New Orleans and told him that helicopters weren't the sun, and he goes, "Oh, maybe I can go out."
Yeah, that's what he's thinking.
Why does that
helicopter? Why does that helicopter appear there like that as well? Like,
just looking for crime, I guess.
Looking for
crime.
Where are all these rats going?
It'd be proper annoying though if you're a Lestat and you'd been poisoned and it took you hundreds of years to get better.
I bet he's ever so careful. Although I guess if he's just been having rats, because that's absolute crap, isn't it? So that's not like, maybe he's come out and he looks visibly better after he's had a slurp of Christian Slater. So maybe he's like been building up to it and is getting slowly better by having people blood again. So after this, because he looks much better by the time he's driving the car at the end.
Anyone would look pretty good driving that car though. Even I would look all right driving that car.
He's obviously took a little bit of the Michael Myers school of driving though, because he's been stuck in a mausoleum for 200 years and he's learned how to drive a car.
Well, I don't think we see him for like the last, I think like 20 years or so. Like there's a bit of a gap in time
between Superman the movie coming out and
the mid-90s.
And the mid-90s, he's learned to drive. 94.
between Superman and the Lion King. Those are the prime years for him to become. He starts listening to Tony Robbins tapes. He becomes a much better version of himself. And I don't understand why he's going after Lestat. What did Lestat? Well, I suppose he burnt him. Burnt him pretty bad.
Is he going to go and get Louis, do you think? Or do you think he's just over it and he's just back out in town now? He's going to have Christian Slater as his new vampire mate.
I think it's very suspicious that he's in the same town as him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust him.
All he ever trying to do is fuck with him. I feel like that's it. Throughout this whole film, he was the long game was fuck with him as hard as possible. Oh, you've poisoned me, have you? That's not part of the plan. Fuming.
Yeah.
He's all right with a slow fight in the air, but poison is where he draws the line.
I have a bit of name game. If you guys are up for it,
go on.
Hell yes.
So this first one is about a referee that tells his epic life story: the ashes, the cricket bats, and the white vest tops.
Is it interview with the umpire?
Interview with the umpire. Yeah. The next one is about an evil magic wizard who tells his epic life story: Luke, Darkseid, lightsabers, and TIE fighters with sharp wings.
Interview with the Empire.
Yeah, you're on it. Okay, it's going to like medium difficulty. A man with spidery powers tells his epic life story: webs, pizza, back pain, and eyeliner.
Interview with the Maguire.
On it, okay. This bit is going to get to like hard mode territory. That bit in World War One, when everyone put their guns down and played football, tells its epic life story.
Interview with the ceasefire.
Wow, on it.
Wow, Jesus Christ.
A starter employee tells his epic life story: previous jobs, work experience, qualifications, and hobbies.
Interview. Wait, what?
So a starter employee, although he wants. Go on.
Interview with the new hire.
Interview with the new hire. Yeah.
Wow.
Well done.
I'm not on it today. Well done. Well done, Andy. Stellar performance.
Andy's been practicing.
Yeah, I've been practicing. While you were seeing the sights of Scotland, Ben, I just sat here revising things that sound a bit like vampire.
There we go. You got to pass the time somehow.
You do.
Yeah. Oh, good. I haven't written this down. Not sure where I'm going to go, but we need to rate the movie. I don't know what I'm going to rate it. It's pretty good. I mean, you can't complain too much about it.
Oh, I think it's solid as a sort of gothic horror. And there is something quite nice about movies that span a lot of time, isn't there? There's something quite nice about those. And obviously a vampire movie staying with the same characters throughout several hundreds of years. That's the only way you can really do it, unless they've been cryogenically frozen or are Wolverine.
Yeah.
Which these guys aren't. But I think it balances the horror, the romance, and a sort of like a historical drama as well, without obviously being entirely accurate, because vampires don't exist. Maybe they do, sorry. I think it gets a lot right, and a lot of the performances are great.
I think Brad Pitt's a little bit one note, but I think that's kind of he's kind of like a mopey romantic character. But I think that's kind of, he's always setting people on fire. I think that's kind of his what he was going for there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Kirsten Dunst is good as like
really good actually.
Annoying brat that's got a bit of that you can understand their plight, understand their humanity, and
she seems older than her years.
Yeah. Kirsten Dunst is phenomenal.
I think in the book, the character of Claudia is much younger. So I think obviously that's why they went a little bit older to try and give her that in terms of dimensions of her character. Because if it's just a 5-year-old, you just be like, I'm sick of you.
It's good though. If you think about it, this was a film that came out in 1990s. Think about kids of a similar age. Like her performance as Claudia is great. Versus years later, Harry Potter, Daniel Radcliffe, great actor now, but at the time, I'm a what? Fucking hell! Come on.
Come on.
Fucking hell! Come on,
Harry.
sort it out.
Kirsten Dunst. And I think she does a great job.
Some of the sort of notes you might have against the film, it is a little bit
long,
melodramatic.
Melodramatic, yeah. But I kind of feel like that's kind of what, I don't know. That's what it is. Like it's a gothic romantic horror movie. You can't that'd be like complaining. Got too many vampires in it though. What do you think that's what you would expect
too many
from this?
interviews.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna sort of settle around a B plus. I think it's good.
Ooh.
I think taste wise, I probably don't vibe with it as much as other people might. But I can't complain. It's a good time.
I think I'll stick with you on a B plus. I think it doesn't do enough to sort of take it to sort of next level in terms of movies. It does, as maybe want to go and watch Queen of the Damned again though.
Same, yeah.
Been a while since I've seen that too. So
I am gonna go just slightly lower, almost imperceptibly so. I had it written down as a B. I think production-wise, it's great. Tom Cruise, I don't know, he does a bit of both, but I think moreover, he's probably more known for his like heroic roles. Really like him as a villain. Lestat is a real piece of shit, and but he's like very magnetic when he's on the screen. Like he does phenomenally. Even though he is by far the worst guy in this movie, can't wait to see what he'll get up to next. And seeing him come back, and I'm very surprised off the back of the ending of this movie that we didn't see a real sequel to it, that we didn't see more of that character.
Yeah.
Yeah, good
until
point. I think
there is Lestat in Queen of the Damned, right? But I don't know where that fits in the chronology of it all.
There is a direct sequel book called The Vampire Lestat, and I believe at the moment maybe a TV show is being developed. A Lestat TV.
I was going to say, I think it would work really well with a TV show. Oh yeah. Also, Lestat in Queen of the Damned is not Tom Cruise.
No,
someone very different.
Yeah, I can't remember.
He just had the guy. I think his he's in Stranger Things. The bully brother.
Oh yeah,
looks a bit like him.
Stuart Townsend, the actor's name. Who was? Let's see if he's in an Underworld. That's what I was thinking. Oh, he plays Dorian Gray in The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Sounds about right.
But there we go. I liked it very well. It was nice beer. I don't think it's ever going to make onto my essential rotation, but I think, as you guys said at the start, it had been long enough that I'd seen it that I was really pleasantly surprised by the things I didn't remember about it. It held up better than I had expected it to in my mind. I feel like going in when I switched it on, I thought it would have dated worse than it had. It's still perfectly serviceable.
Yeah.
There we go. Very nice.
Cool. Next week we'll be doing Scream 2022. That'd be fun. But yeah, if you enjoyed today's episode, you can become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout. Thanks to our current patrons: Elaine Spencer, John Crinnan, Ben Scase, Stephen Christopher, Toby Miller, Scott Rigby, Ollie Child, and Pazuzu. Thanks to Kovac Cameron for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Thanks to the listeners. Please join the Facebook group, Horror Hangout Board of Advisors. Leave us a review. Maybe we should read out some reviews soon. I don't think we've done that for a little while.
Yeah, get some reviews in, guys. It helps us, especially as we're trying to do more, and we have things like the Patreon bonus episodes now. There are things to do with algorithms, so get in your app of choice where you listen to us. Obviously, 5-star reviews are the ones we're going to pay the most attention to. Don't let that sway you, though. I mean, do let it sway you. And you know what? Giving us a review cost you absolutely dick all. So get on there.
Dick all.
Yeah. Thanks to my co-hosts for being Right Horror Dudes.
Thank you very much, Luke. Thank you very much, Andy. Until next time.
Yeah. See you for some Scream time. Who is going to be the killer? Let's find out.
I bet it's that Ghostface guy.
I bet it's him. Freddy Krueger. That's my bet.
Not him again.
Yeah. All right. Catch you in a bit.
See you later.
See you later, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.